Hi, guys, and welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast, Unresolved Sexual Tension. It's me, your host, Valerie, and with me today is Katie, and we are reading The Everlasting by Alix E. Harrow.
Yes. Yeah, that was a gentler approach. So, as opposed to what one of our main characters prefers, which we will discuss at another point, I'm sure, because actually until now, Val and I have discussed back and forth a few times, like, our feelings on things, but I didn't even think about the sex scenes until just now, and I'm just
Oh,
like,
we're gonna have to bring those up a little bit. I'm not sure what your feelings are, but
I
I've got.
don't know. I don't know. Like, but see, this is,
But let's not get
again,
ahead of ourselves. Let's not get
yeah,
ahead of ourselves.
exactly.
So this was a book club book. Our patrons picked this for us to read. They're here with us today. They have thoughts. I was talking to them a little bit. Join the Patreon if you want to be a part of these in the future. But The Everlasting by Alix E. Harrow is, if I shall premise us for real quickly,
Please do.
it takes place in an empire called Dominion, where there is a woman of historical import named Una the Everlasting. And she was like a sword of this queen, epic tales, still popular centuries later, where our main boy, Owen Mallory, is a scholar, and he is obsessed with Una the Everlasting, and he studies her as this figure of history so important for this empire.
And I want you guys to picture, like, I don't know if you pictured this. So, again, I have biases, obviously. And I just would like to premise, first and foremost, with all of the aestheticism of this book and everything, I am well aware that I might be heavily biased with specific things. So please keep that in mind as I say
Are we
things.
talking muscle mommy biases, perhaps?
Okay, yes, actually, that is one of them. But what I was about to say is, you know what? I could not help myself but picture, I couldn't help but picture him as like, did you get the Dishonored vibe? Like the like grungy London society of the future, but not, it's not the future. Okay, guys, look. Don't let me get you off base. There is no futuristic setting here. But like,
It's sort of a
he's very
World War
Edwardian,
like,
romantically
yeah.
described, and I was picturing like Dishonored characters the whole time for some reason.
I had weird images of the characters in my head too, but I think they were very different from yours.
Anyway,
But
so point being though, sorry, I interrupted you originally. So anyway, as you were saying,
yes, Owen Mallory, the scholar who is obsessed with Una the Everlasting, this like historical figure. He is presented with this old book called The Death of Una Everlasting by, I guess, the Chancellor of War or something. And essentially what happens is there's some time travel shit that happens. He goes back in time to make sure she dies in the proper way. And things go on from there.
yeah, it's like one gigantic. Uh, what's the book called again? It's like I felt like it was a mix of Arthurian, like if we were gonna put genres like randomly to it, and I just like darted it onto my board of like thoughts. Um, I would think Arthurian legend mixed with like 1984 mixed with. I mean, it's not at all, guys. It really is not.
This is just a
But
Katie vibe check only.
it
Like,
it is it is, but. What do you want to start with? Like, I don't even know where to
let's
start.
give our thoughts, like our overall thoughts first, I guess.
Okay, go for it. You first.
I liked this book. I have a lot of complicated feelings about it, and I think the way I talk about it is gonna sound like I didn't like this book, but it's really beautifully written, and like it hit a really specific thing for me that I loved, but at the same time, I thought some of the themes were both heavy-handed at some points and poorly utilized in other points, and got a little convoluted at the end. And like, I think the villain character is really she's incredible, but I think the author tried to hang a little bit too much on her, and it got a little lopsided in ways that didn't quite hit for me. I don't, maybe you disagree, and that's fine. It's just
I
like,
don't know.
yeah,
That's an interesting statement. That too much, like you would say, too much of the plot was hung upon that one
I
character.
think there were too many themes hung on her. There was like just a lot of like weight on this one
What would you
character.
name as all the themes? I just like out of curiosity.
Like the name is the themes. I don't know. I guess like we have this whole fascism, this whole like
I
all
see
of
what you're
like
saying.
and then
Okay,
we have the
yes.
mommy issues at the very end, which and I love mommy issue stuff. Don't I like that always gets to me, but I felt with the weight of this like vast like empire of
You felt
fascism,
she
the
was
mommy
being
issues felt like a little bit sort of tacked on in an odd way. Again, we'll get
no.
to it more when we get there, and it's just a little off. And there's a few scenes in the middle too where it's just like I feel like you the author Harrow over explains her themes in a lot of places, and in other places there are things happening that are directly related to her like sort of the discussions that she's having that she doesn't really address enough. I'll
Yeah.
bring it up more specifically as we get there, but like it was just sort of like a little seesaw happening in my brain, and I was like, I love this, but also I feel like there were some missed opportunities here.
Again, what I told Val before we started is that I feel like I haven't gotten to chew on the fat of this long enough yet because I wanted to make notes and I didn't really get to like I just finished it too short, like too quickly to the time that we had to log on. But I think I agree with you on like everything you just said. I'm pretty sure we are thinking very similar things in regards to it because so one thing I do have to commend the author on is like the median through which the story is going like the way the story is being told allows for a certain distance between the reader and the characters so that way not everything has to be explained in whereas like if you had a different perspective or something like that or if the story's mode was like a little bit more differently like more intimate. I don't even know how to explain it. It's written like a fairy tale.
Yeah,
And
it
because
has
it
a
is
fairy
written
tale
like
esque,
that.
yeah.
Yes. And because it is written like that, it gets certain allowances in certain places because the tone is so successful. And I'm okay with that in most of the places in the book. But I think I said this in my I think I said this in my message. Hold on a second. To Val earlier was that towards the beginning, I had a concern for what the plot would be, considering the mechanism of the time travel, which is hard. Anybody who tries to tackle time travel is a ballsy motherfucker who just like is really willing to just take the bull by the horn. So I can appreciate that ballsiness. And I can appreciate how successfully it was done within the fairy tale mode. But at the same time, there are certain things in it, like Val said, that are just like kind of like I don't know. You know what I said to Will the other day? I said I almost feel like the story, and I don't know if I like I don't know how you would feel about this. I'd be interested in your feedback, but I almost feel like, and I think I said this too to you, that the book would be better off as like a graphic novel, almost in a way. Like it's almost like a short former, like a short former, excuse me, a shorter form of the way it's told would be that. I don't know. I feel very conflicted.
Yeah, no, I kind of I understand what you mean by that, and like I was like the last couple of days I've actually been talking in the book club Discord like with other people who have finished the book, and like a lot of people were some person I forget who it was said that it was Vivian again like an anime villain with her monologues and stuff, and her being this sort of larger than life sort of like almost like manga character
Legendary.
kind of like makes sense within like this sort of like comic book y thing. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like I understand what you're saying. Like,
Yeah, there's like, and also some of the visuals that come up, they're very well done written wise. Like, it's fine. But it's in such a style that I wouldn't be totally surprised if any of you guys have read this and you read it and you were like thinking of like, I don't know. Have you read The Sleeper and the Spindle with Neil Gaiman and everything? Like that art style. It's just like very like jagged and
mhm.
but also whimsical looking. And that's how I pictured this whole thing. And it was kind of like, it reminded me, weirdly enough, wild thought, but it reminded me of Nimona for some reason. And
Yeah.
its abnormality of how it told its story, I think is what I mean.
Oh yeah,
Like
no, I can get
it's
that.
not told with, oh, this is, oh yes, this is, I think this is the
The 80
thesis to my,
thoughts slowly
it
bouncing back
finally,
together.
yes. Um, the structure of the storytelling is super abnormal. Like it is not at all the way most story structures go with a climax and blah blah blah. Yeah.
And it's also interesting that the tense is interesting because it's kind of like a first person slash targeted second person, like a very
Yes.
specifically targeted second person. And there's another one point where they switch to third person POV after talking about it in the prose. Like, we don't want to talk about this personally, so we're going to switch to third person as if this is a story that we are telling. It's interesting what she does with like point of view and this. But before we like get too cerebral and into
Yeah.
the we should probably get into the plot and introduce our characters and stuff.
Yes. That sounds good. I'm gonna rely on you definitely a lot for the middle two deaths,
Okay.
if you will, of the
Hmm.
four, because the middle two, I'm a little. That's what I was trying to recount on my paper, just to remember like what happened. So please forgive me if I forget a few things.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. I mean, I'm not gonna remember everything, but I'm gonna do my best. You and me with our bumblebee brains. We're gonna do our best.
All right, here we go. All right, so where do we start off, Valerie?
We start off with a sort of pulled back, sort of like a fairy tale esque narrative about the story of Una, who was an orphaned girl and who like ran around this yew tree as a kid and was like the king of the forest. But she was a nobody, absolutely like nothing.
It's very
Um,
much like Faye Child. She has like super white hair and her eyes are yellow, and she was found by two men. Um,
we don't
uh,
know that later. I think it was just what.
it's
Oh, this
only
one,
revealed
yeah.
once she is sitting there and she's like, my father's home. But
That's
yes,
fun. We'll talk about that. I liked that
yeah,
moment,
I did
but
too.
yeah. But essentially, like, yeah, she has this family, and there's like, and a war breaks out. Her fathers they get killed in this war, and she's just distraught. And this yew tree is sort of like this fantasy esque tree with a sword like plunged in its roots, and there's like faces. It's very like there's something magical about this
Ethereal.
tree. Yes.
Yeah.
So in her anger, she pulls the sword out of the tree. She doesn't know that this sword is going to go down in history. She doesn't know the name of the sword yet. She doesn't know how important it's going to be for her as a person, but she goes and she just slaughters people. Like, and after she's just slaughtered this like army of men, I think. Uh,
It's at the very least, you know that it's so you picture and it's a very like iconic image too. Um, I wish I could recreate it as an artist, but I'm not an artist. um, but it's a snowy like glade, and she finds the, I think he's called, what is it, the king of not brigands, shame, the king of bandits,
Something like
whatever.
that.
That's like what the term is, and she
Hmm.
knows it too. And it's because like the narration again is like very much like fairy tale, so it's like an omniscient narrator almost. And so but she comes back across them, and she knows it was them that killed her father slash whatever. And beggar king,
Tiger
fair
King,
enough,
thank you. Yes.
good job. Thank you very much. Or beggar prince. But anyway, so she slaughters them and she comes across a princess. And you know what this scene reminded me very much of? It was very reminiscent of the Chronicles of Narnia with the
Oh yeah, with the white
ice.
queen finding
Yeah.
Edward, kind of. Yeah.
Yes. That's the way it reminded me so much of it, especially
That's
later.
very much the vibes. This like larger than life woman, like she's described as the queen who is not yet queen or something like that. And she like comes down to our girl, and it should be said that her name is I think blacked out in these sections. Maybe she's called Una in this part. I don't remember,
I don't
but
know, but in the audiobook it's stupid as
oh yeah,
fuck.
they
Where
do
it's
like a
just
little star sound, like a
no, it's a
yeah.
and it's like what is that?
The weird because that was her name before this. The queen gave her name, which is Una. The queen gives her the name Una, and she's like, will you serve me? And this girl, she's like, who are you? She's like, I'm nobody. And she's like, well, will you be mine? And she's like, yes, I'll be yours, because she's just in awe of this like larger than life beautiful woman who's going to be queen. She has this queenly energy about her. And so she, Una, goes on to serve the queen as her saint, essentially. And this queen has this vision for a future, one country under one god, called Dominion, which she is going to spread. And it's a beautiful thing, this Dominion, of course, because, and this is the sort of fairy tale that is then inserted into our more modern world, which Owen Mallory exists in, which is centuries later. Sort of think World War II esque.
Let me tell
Um,
you, the genre shift when you jump from that to that, I was like, all right, where's this going? Like, what are you going to do with that? Like, because the problem that I found in it when I was first listening to it, right, is that I'm like, okay, so we're going to get technology, which means some real world history stuff because we had to get the technology from someplace. So it's got to share some of our normal Earth history. So how much? So what my mind process was is how different is this Earth to our Earth? But then, like, so you have to suspend that disbelief. And the thing that I think the author did a really good job on with all the time travel, weirdly enough, is I think that erased why that like even matters. Like she waterboarded me with time travel stuff so much that I
she
was like,
tortured the
there,
questions out of you. She's like, don't think about the world building. Don't
yeah,
think about it.
yeah. I was like, there is no common ancestry between our history
How
and
did they come up
his.
with radio?
I don't care. It doesn't matter. None of it's Earth. But like, it did bother me at first. I had a hard time detaching my disbelief from
It
that.
was a little bit like in Divine Rivals, the whole like a question of like, oh, there's
Yes.
baseball, and it's just kind of like, okay, they have film, and like it is very much a reflection of our world, like sort of again, I think around World War II ish, with like there's film, there's radio, there's cabs, like
There's certain kinds of
um,
guns.
there's yeah. But yeah, Owen Mallory is a scholar at this academy. What we need to know about Owen Mallory is that his father is of Dominion, was in the war, and is some sort. He's very anti Dominion, and our boy Owen Mallory is pro Dominion, and he is a boy of color. Um,
Basically,
and
yeah.
yes, he has sort of like
Isn't he the equivalent of like Romani?
yeah, they mention like a traveling people, but
Yeah.
it's very vague and not super explored.
Mm-mm.
But he's all for this sort of fascist regime. He's drinking the sauce.
But you
Like
know what? You know what? Like, didn't. So this was my big. Okay, this was my first concern here. Was that I was like, okay, where does the love come from, though? Like, what inspired that love? And she makes it make sense to me. It works. It's fine. But at first, it was a hard pill to swallow.
it's interesting, and maybe we could pause and talk about it a little bit here, because I've heard like some people in the Discord and also online. I was reading some other reviews. Like some people are like, I don't really understand where like why we have this, like this brown character
Nationalism.
who is clearly he's not treated well by. This is a racist society that does not see him as one of them, but he is
Yes.
still like he's at this university working. He went to war for these people, and he just drinking the sauce. And this does happen in the real world. It does happen. Like there are like Latin American people in ICE. Like this is a thing that happens. Like
Yes,
like
absolutely. But what's it also called? The I mean, it's not a theory, but like, what's it called again? The something something one. No, there's like a phrase for it where it's like
one
you've
of the good
already put.
ones, or like the what do you?
No, no, I mean like you've already cut so much of your own flesh off for this
Mm.
cause that to
Oh yeah,
deny it now would deny your sacrifice that you've so far given. And that combined with like almost a bit of like Hitler stuff, which makes sense. But almost like a whole bunch of, yeah, sunken ship fallacy. Thank you so much. Oh
Ah, there
my
you go.
God. Thank you. Wait, what is that? Cold horseshoe.
And Lenny, hey Lenny,
Oh, and Linny, yes, thank you. Um, yeah, it's sunken the sunken ship thing.
you're gonna have to
Like
press
I
the buttons if you want to put any of these on screen.
oh
By the
yeah,
way, 'cause I
here,
don't
wait,
have
here.
it right
Sorry, I forgot you didn't have access, and I thought you were just choosing not to.
now. Yeah,
There we go. I'll start clicking on them. Just tell me if you want me to click on one of them, though.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, sunken cost
Sunken cost
fallacy, whatever.
fallacy. Yeah,
Yeah, this
I have
comment.
I have read Six Deaths of the Saint. I like it. It's cleaner. It's cleaner than this.
You know what's so funny? Did you know? Like, remember how earlier I was like, almost like it needs to be in a shorter form,
You
like
should read it.
because
It's very good.
that's so funny. But it's also really funny. I did. Ju- if you are at all interested, we can talk about it at a different time. But like, I came up with a very similar concept a while ago, and I did a short story of it, and it was really cool. Like, it's the exact opposite, though. It's like really not happy. But anyway, going
The
back to
ending of
this.
that one is different. You should, but we won't talk about it now. We can talk about that later.
Ooh.
But yeah,
Oh, we need to have multiple discussions on this then. It's because that's fascinating. We should have a comparison. But anyway, moving on though.
yeah. Hmm.
Point being though, I can see why, just to bring us all back to like why is he invested in the country? Why does he care about his nationalism? I can see how like again, the sunken cost, whatever, thing where you already gave up so much, don't deny what you gave up thing can like feed into it. But I can also see like wanting to be a part of something because you've been so alienated that you're so thirsty for it. I think the only thing she could build and make stronger in this longer version of her story is to linger on that a little bit, maybe in his youth, because we have so much of his adulthood, to show how that shaped him, like that how that made him into somebody that was like I yearn for the mines,
And
you know.
the most recent comment down here, if you could highlight that one.
Bananamus.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But he wasn't raised in a culture that wasn't Dominion, so his views on his
Yeah,
identity and
exactly.
patriotism would be more complicated because
Yeah.
yeah, he only ever grew up in Dominion. He didn't even really think of himself as an other until people kind of started treating him that way. But even so, he always felt like my father is from this country. I just have to prove myself, and I will be accepted within
I
this country. Yeah.
And more importantly, like regardless of all this, I empathized with the character
Hmm.
when he described these concerns at the beginning, and I thought that was successful.
Hmm. And what we need, another thing we need to know, this boy, huge Una fanboy. This guy is absolutely obsessed with Una the Everlasting. You get the sense he's had like a crush on this sort of historical figure for like since he was like a boy. He's like, oh my god, Una, big strong saint lady.
Yes, he is the Mark de Seance dog if you watch Invincible. He thinks Una is like goddess material, which, to be frank, everybody, she is. She is, as Val said earlier, muscle mummy, which I only could dream to be in my future, but I would love to be held by one. Um, and so she's every single incarnation of a lady knight in its most beautiful, harsh version that you can possibly imagine, with like
however,
Arthurian shit
However,
sprinkled.
in the tales, she is strong but also svelte, and she's got like soft flowing blonde hair and blue eyes,
Yeah.
and she's just she's very sort of feminized in like
Yeah.
a strength of femininity in the in the stories.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The real quick, Pink Synthetic mentions. It feels like Harrow was so focused on her three main characters that she didn't spend any real time on how Owen would have been actually treated. That's fair. I I I wouldn't disagree. Again, that's why I can see how a short version of this like would actually be in some ways more successful. Sometimes like when you linger on pain or something, the pain's not so romantic anymore. It just becomes pain. I don't know. That's like a dumb fucking metaphor. But you know what I mean? Like, like when you press on like a bruise and you're like, oh, yes, my muscle. And then after a while, you're like, okay, please let it go. I don't need any more muscle
Oh no, yeah,
time.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
It's just like oh for a minute it's like oh this ache feels good, but then you're like oh no, actually I'm just in pain now and this
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah. That's how this story kind of feels in some places. And again, let's continue with the plot. So anyway, we have Owen. Where did we leave off at even?
We were just going
Barely
over
anything.
Owen in general. What happens is Owen receives this book in the mail called "The Death of Una Everlasting," and he's like, "This is a piece of historical literature. This is going to be huge for my academic career." And then we get these little messages between him and his professor, and he's like, "Is this sick?" And she's like, "It would be if it was fucking real, you dipshit." And
Yeah,
he's
it is
like,
actually
It's
really funny.
old. Promise it's real. Like you're just like they just have a quippy back and forth between him and this lady professor that is like kind of snippy with him. It's cute. It's cute.
It's actually a format that's very abnormal to the rest of the book. It's because the rest of the book does not, there's no communication quite like that, like in particular, which I thought was funny. It actually gave me lots of reminders of like, what's it called? The Emily Wilde. It reminded me of Emily
Yeah, a little
Wilde a little
bit.
bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But also like what's really interesting about Owen too is that so you know that he's like odd boy out, raised by a father. We know his father is a single father that is kind of like who said it? He was anti-fascist, which is yes, that's correct. Whoever said that.
Yeah.
Um,
Or
uh,
Antifa. Yes.
Antifa, yeah.
Me Antifa.
But yeah,
Dad.
that's basically the way he is. He's a radical. He is always speaking for the people. And he's just trying to be a good like soldier boy. He you know something has happened where he's gone off. Like at this point, you know that he has like a like just through his description and everything, he has a scar across his neck. You're not really entirely sure why he has a scar across his
I
neck.
think it is described pretty early that Owen did in fact go to war. He realized his
Yeah.
father was like a coward and a traitor,
Yes.
quote
And so
unquote,
he
and he
lied on
ran
his
away
sheets.
and went to war for his
Yeah,
country.
because his eyesight was shit, which is so ironic considering he's a crack shot. I just want to throw that out there real quick.
The
But
crackshot thing is sort of explained later with the whole the body remembers, but
no, that does look. Time travel can fix a lot of things.
it sure can.
Um,
We're gonna have to talk about it more, but
but anyway,
we haven't
so
even gotten
like,
there yet.
point being though is that you're not really entirely given the whole story, but you know that he went to war, that he being synthetic said I twitch. But you know, he goes out to war. You know that he came back as a hero, or he got like a hero, but he feels like a fake, and you're not sure why he feels like a fraud. And anyway, he's called upon to be. He's received the book, right?
And
This
there's just
really
an
cool book.
address, a slip of paper with an address inside.
Exactly. And so he goes to the address, and
And
on his way up to the building, he meets who? Valerie.
he runs into his father, and his dad is at a party, as he describes it, with some friends, and our boy Owen is um, like like a social gathering with slogans as a protest father, and then like
Yeah.
they have like a little back and forth where he's like, "How's my favorite propagandist?" Blah blah, like to his son because his
Yeah.
son is drinking the sauce, and
But it's so interesting
it's a
because
great conversation.
it is, and it's really interesting because his father is a man of Dominion. He is a son of Dominion. And Owen is not technically quite that. And it's really interesting. It's like, you know what, this part in particular kind of reminded me vaguely of the, did you ever watch Taboo?
No.
Oh, well, so the dad in that, it's the same kind of relationship where it's like, oh, social justice, like I realize the wrongs of my sins and stuff, but my son is a product of something bad related to that. And so it's a really, I think it was well done. And I thought it was a really interesting juxtaposition on
Yeah, and
viewpoints.
the juxtaposition to the line that I just said about you know uh, a social gathering with slogans is called a protest. His father then later says, I believe, um, a country with colonies is called an empire, like
Yeah,
to his son
exactly.
back,
That
and
was
it's just
so
sort of
good.
like a good little, just like these people, and they love each other. I love the way his dad is described as being a deeply kind person, and also like a little bit of an alcoholic, but like a loving
A
alcoholic,
little
not in
bit.
like yeah, like a little, quite a bit of an alcoholic, but like not in a way where it's like, oh, like he beat me or anything. He was still kind, and he had a kind smile, and like I don't know, I liked his dad as a sketch of a character quite a bit.
It just seemed like somebody who realized that they were human and that everybody else was human in the worst of moments. And so once he realized that, he was like, oh, well, shoot, whatever it requires for me not to be more inhumane than I already have been, that's what I'll do. And so
And there's a couple of interesting moments here that are like mentioned in the prose that don't really become relevant until later. But Owen keeps thinking, "Why am I wearing this heavy coat? My like service coat. Why am I wearing this heavy service coat? Why am I thinking about my dad as I go here?" But eventually, like he meets up with the spies. Like he gets taken back into the room to meet up with this whoever sent the note with the address, and he meets up with Vivian Rolfe. Is it Vivian
something
Rolfe?
like that. Yeah, I
And
don't remember her last name for sure,
I
but
think it's
maybe.
Wolf. But she's like, and he's like, "Oh my God, it's the Chancellor of War. It's oh my
And
like."
she comes across very much as every female character in, and this is where I'm saying the Dishonored thing from. Like, it's just like female agency. Like, there's a certain power to the woman. And she's described, I really liked her description initially, where it was like, he knew that she had had some hard nights recently. It's because whereas he had seen her so polished in the past because he had run across her before, her the starch in her collar had wilted and it was like against her, and so she I like I'm and she has a cigarette, and so you're just like picturing this kind of like sweaty woman who's like in the trenches with her cigarette and stuff, and then she straightens up and she becomes like a little bit more proper and then discusses things with her, but it's so
She's a
interesting.
well described character, and it's
Oh,
especially funny because moments before, when he was still talking to his dad, he said something snippy about like, "Oh, Vivian Rolfe," like his dad did, like blah blah blah. That when he's like, "How dare you be rude to a woman in the workforce? She's an icon of power for this country and dominion. Like, don't you care
yeah.
about women's rights, Dad?" Like it's
Yeah,
so
that was like, see, it's moments like that that took me out of it. Like, where she did a little heavy handed with some of the characters, where
yes,
you're just
yes.
kind of like, dude, like, wait, just cut that out. Just cut around that fat real quick. Like, I didn't need that at all. Like, there's also this one part, I'm gonna forget to mention it, but there's this like one little like interlude way deeper into the book where it's like, in a fairy tale, this fairy tale goes like this. And I was just like, no, this is too heavy handed, god damn it. But anyway, reeling it back in.
Hmm.
So so yeah, anyway, he meets up with her and she's like, "Hey, I really need your help. It's because you apparently are totally in love with this legend, and I need this legend to propagate my propaganda and make sure that things." Do you want to add on to this? Because she does some foreshadowing here, but I just can't quite remember the exact wording she
She's
uses.
saying like she needs him to like translate this book like, and she doesn't mention propaganda at this point. This is just like
No, but you know
she
that's what
knows,
it's
yes, you know,
for.
but like yeah, he's like I just won the lottery with my scholarly pursuits. This is the best
Yeah,
thing that's ever happened to
it's very
me.
Emily Wilde coded, where he's just like, "I'm a professor doing academia," and then like for like
Hmm.
a brief moment.
Yeah, and so she hands him the book, and he flips it open, and like he's supposed to translate it. And he's like, "Why is it blank?" And she's like, "Ha ha ha!" Stabs him through the hand with a letter opener, and you, the reader, are just like,
What?
"What?"
Because she seemed very, the author does a really good job at making you like her for some reason. At least I thought so.
She
I
has like
liked her
this sort of,
instantly.
yeah, like this like woman in authority charm about her that is really well conveyed. Like you want her to like you. Even me, the reader, reading, I was like, "Oh, I
Yeah,
hope
I was
this
like,
lady likes
"Mommy."
me."
I know. I was like, "Mama, don't you love me?"
The two bitches with the most mommy issues here are just we're doing a banger of a job.
I know. So anyway, she stabs his hand, and you're like, "What the fuck?" And and
The
he's just
world falls away from
transported.
him, and he starts smelling weird smells, and he's like, "What? I've never fainted before. This is weird." And he's like bleeding, and then he comes to, and he's like beneath this yew tree that he remembers from his childhood. He remembers running
Yes.
around this yew tree. And there's a great part earlier
Mm-hmm.
where he talks about this girl that he met around the yew tree where they were running around, and he later realizes no one else ever saw this girl or mentioned her family, and he realizes like in a moment of like grown up clarity that he made her up, like, but like wakes up under this yew tree, and he's like, what the fuck's going on? And lo and behold, our Una Everlasting herself walks out from the forest. She's not quite as blonde and svelte and blue eyed as we once thought. She is like stark white hair, sort of like amber eyes, pockmarks on her face, and she is
Love that.
beefy as hell. Like,
Yeah, and she's got like because it's cold where he gets transported at the time of when it happens,
so he's
and so
wearing this
she's
coat, and
got
he's like, "Wow, it's good that I'm wearing my coat."
yeah, exactly, which is really funny. Like every there's just like this focus on it that makes it a little funny.
Hmm.
She did a really good job with like some like really tiny subtle humor in the book. I
Subtle,
think
like,
she was successful in it.
foreshadowing bits. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, she also like is like wind like reddened like by the cold. Like anytime I've gone out in the cold, I look like I look like
Pink
I
in the
think it's
face,
described.
blotchy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's not great. And so I did like the way she was described because it was still beautiful. It was still so romantic the way she was described. And then also as a side note, one of the commenters earlier mentioned this. I just don't remember who it was. I'm trying to go up and see.
Yeah.
But it was funny. It's because I wanted to mention specifically prior to this moment, there was a couple of like for example, there's a really iconic scene prior to this where Owen's looking at a recruitment poster and the poster is like, you know, it has the legend, you know, as they pictured her and all the plays and whatever and stories of Una. She's like there, she's like, join your country to support, you know, whatever, whatever. So it's very like patriotic and stuff. I was trying to find who it was, but I can't find it at the moment. But anyway,
She's like
so
Uncle Sam, like on the
yes.
posters.
So my point in saying this, right, is that it's that Uncle Sam vibe that like you are part of the nation's core like military history.
Hmm.
So anyway, from there, how does she react, Val?
Um,
Do you remember?
I don't even remember exactly how she reacts. Does she like attack him or like like a pinch? I don't.
She grips I remember vaguely. So she anyway, like they interact, she grips him kind of harshly and then she looks at herself and she's like, I apologize, boy. And she's
Yeah,
like
yeah, she calls him boy, which I found a little like, well,
uh,
but
like I didn't but I get it.
oh yeah, he does
Um
pass out. That's
yeah,
true.
he does. And then they're in like an old shack and you know based off the description and everything very shortly into this that this is the cabin that her father slash fathers, as we'll come to know the truth of the story because many stories have been told and it just depends on what version you've heard depending you know you'll see that that's like the whole like what's the schema of the book. But anyway,
So let me just like lay out a couple of
yeah,
things here. So
go
what
ahead.
we know of uh, Owen Mallory quickly realizes that he is here because this version of Una Everlasting that he has stumbled upon has given up. She has wandered away from the queen. She is about ready to like drop the sword and not be a saint anymore for the queen. And he's like, that can't happen because we need Una to die in the way that she does so Dominion can flourish in the future. So he needs to get her back on this right path so she can go slay the dragon, get the grail, go to the queen, and be killed in this heroic way so that Dominion can flourish. And
and
it's his job to sort of push her back on that path.
And what I neglected to say before that I meant to say was that when Owen gets his hand stabbed through by Valerie, sorry, that was like too.
By
I don't know
Valerie,
if that
by
caught the
Vivian.
audio.
I didn't stab that man. By Vivian.
Uh, by Vivian, sorry. By Vivian. Apologies. But anyway, she's like, she needs you, is what she says to Owen. She says,
Yes.
she needs you. And so instantly, as soon as I heard all this and you get shot to the past and everything, I'm like, oh, okay. Is like he being sent. I was like, oh, he's either being sent into the book, like the story, like the alternate universe of this to make sure it comes true in a way that makes it consistent with history, or it's straight up into the past. And it's very quickly ascertained that this is just the country's
Straight up
past.
into the past, yeah.
Yeah.
So like they have it's sort of like tense. They talk to each other. She's like worried about hurting him because she's so huge and beefy, but he does convince her to go on this path to slay the dragon. And it's from his perspective, so we don't really know what she's thinking or why she's going along with it. But he's like, they don't tell you how long these travel montages are in like in books and stuff, but we traveled for a long time to get to that dragon. And like he's he quickly just starts thinking like a little sexy thoughts about her, our
Yeah,
tiny
here
little
and
like
there.
nerd ass like scholar boy. He's like, because at first he's like, she's kind of ugly compared to what I thought, but then he's quickly like, but she's kind of hot though too.
I just like he didn't realize that he really just wanted more muscles on his ideal woman. That she needed to be a little bit more buxom and realistic for him to truly love her.
Yeah, and like, oh, it's Bloodstar
That's
says,
exactly what I was going to bring up.
yes, I
Um,
want. It
Owen
was a
makes a
funny
cheeky
line.
ass remark, like, didn't know gay people existed back then. It's because
This is
it's
when we
so,
first learned that she has two fathers, because she says fathers when she's going over her past with him. And
yeah, they're sitting in this cabin, and what's really nice is that it's a very well done moment of like, hey, you've been told a legend and you know what that legend's outline is, and so you feel like you understand it, at least at its core. And then he's brought back to the past and he sees her flesh and bone, not a figure in legend but a real human being, and she's like, yeah, my father's, and he's like, fathers, that wasn't in the stories, and or something, like, I don't remember that, but like exactly, but it's something to that effect. And he does. There's like a whole narrative bit, like a little pocket of narration
it's
dedicated
like,
just to that
oh, I
concept.
thought or homosexuals were more of a modern invention, or at
Yeah.
least like boarding schools made it happen. Like, you know,
Yes, he he's like, I thought even boarding schools, like, and I'm like, oh, this is
and then
such a
and then
funny.
he thinks to himself, well, I'm not going to mention the gay dads in the story. It's not important. It'll just complicate things.
And so then you see how the creation of the myth, how,
Hmm.
and that's what's really interesting. I was so curious because you already know what happens in the myth, basically, for the most part. Not everything, blow by blow, blow by blow, but you know, like the majority of the big red flags in the story, with the exception of the very ending part. And so, following Owen to this part, you're getting all of his perspective with a few exceptions, where he'll kind of switch, like you'll get from her, like, at least in the audiobook, right? I'm imagining in the ebook or the normal book or whatever, it's just in italics or bold or something like that. But you get these like little brief glimpses into his telling of her tale, but from her voice and perspective, and that does make it really dynamic. And I was like, wow, I wonder how this is gonna like progress, because it's very limiting too in what we're allowed to know, especially from her side of things. Um, and I was pleasantly surprised as the book went on, which I'll mention once we get there. But so anyway, they get off to the dragon. Would you like to take it from there?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, they get to the dragon, and I was just listening to you, waiting for you to continue. And
Oh, no, no, no! I
he's
was
like,
like, no, you take it from there. I'm trying to do it like it even. I'm trying to like, I did not match the cadence there. I was like, and are you ready? And I was like,
I was
toss
like,
the
oh god,
ball, and you're just like ball
where's my
toss.
script? But like,
I'm
he's
sorry,
like,
my bad.
I'll come with you to like take notes, and she's like, no, you absolutely cannot. You have to stay here. And he's like, okay, I guess I'll just make up the story of you and the dragon while you're up there. So that's one of the moments where we kind of cut away to his like little like prose of him writing her tale of how she slayed the dragon. And we learn that this is probably the last dragon. She's been tasked with slaying several of them. Jesus, I can't talk.
It's
And
fine. Join the club.
like, because they're sort of like this like icon of power and freedom, that this is talked about more later, but the queen just
Yeah.
doesn't want them there as a symbol of something more powerful than she is, kind of. You get
Yeah,
that.
it
It's
it
later,
specifically says,
but
yeah,
yeah.
later on they're actually debating it with each other as like more comfortable people with each other. And they're like, wow, I wonder why the queen wanted to get rid of all the dragons. And again, Una says at some point, probably because to see them fly across and be so free and everything is, but I just want everybody to know, I'm not going to say much more on it, but I want you to know it's also told to you at this point that dragons are very unique. And in this world, where the dragons exist, they're not exactly necessarily maybe fearsome creatures, although we're not entirely sure. All we know is that this last one is probably not, especially after she slays it. It's because it's described as almost like a murder.
Mhm.
The way she comes back, it's because she comes back with like a little slick of blood that she must have gotten whipped by or something like that, and she has the grail that she's supposed to have that'll heal the queen and make her all better from the cancer that she has or whatever, and that'll allow dominion to come forth in the years providing. But the description of the dragon dying is really good. It's very depressing, and it sounds, again, like I said, like a murder.
I don't think
And
we
it's
get the
all,
description until the second time we come back, because this is from Owen's perspective and he
yeah,
listens to
yeah.
the audio. But
No,
yeah.
no, he just hears all. Yeah,
Oh
she's
yeah,
right.
he does. He hears the yeah.
He hears the wail. That's what I'm
Hmm.
referring to.
Yeah.
Is like the wail of the dragon is something that's incredibly depressing. It sounds like, again, like a screaming woman or something like that. That's the way I processed it anyway. The way the description went. Um, and another little detail I just want to like plant right here, no pun intended. But but dragons also have like, it's like dragons are super hard to slay. It's because their hearts are super itty bitty tiny, and that's like the only way you slay a dragon. And it's like the size of a little itty bitty seed. Like that's about as big as it can be. And so it's like really hard to pinpoint where that is in the dragon's chest and like slay it. And that's like the whole like mystery behind it. That, and also they're like really old and they fly, and I think there's supposed to be like fire involved at some point with some of them. I'm just not entirely sure. It's not like super clear on that, but otherwise it's a dragon that you would expect.
Hmm. And she comes back down. She's got the Grail. She's got everything they need to go back to the queen for her death, for as Owen knows and Una does not know.
And
So
as you, the reader, don't really totally know, but you know.
yeah. Let me. There are a couple of lines I wanted to
Sure.
read here. Like just because like the prose is really quite lovely. Like here, like Owen just in this like for up to the first death. Like here's a moment of Owen thinking, in my undergraduate courses, I taught your death as a narrative tool, an elegant equation about honor and valor and the cost of nationhood. Now, looking into the burnt sap of your eyes, close enough to see the ordinary imperfections of your skin, it did not seem much like an equation. But you had already strayed from the path of your story. If I told you how it ended, you would never return to it. You would never slay the dragon or fetch the grail. The country would lose its first queen and its greatest hero. I didn't think Dominion, fragile, freshly born, would survive the loss. And like that's his mindset to where he is right now. He's like, I need to lead her to this death because Dominion needs this. But then we also get a bunch of horny stuff of him like looking at her and being like, if I touched you and found only flesh, if I tasted you and found
It's
only
very
the
romantical.
ordinary bittersweetness of a wet cunt, there would be no, you'd no longer be a legend to me, but only yourself. And it's like, all right, buddy, you're real horny out of nowhere.
I will admit that early horniness is understandable, but a little off kilter for me. Like I felt like, I know this is crazy, but I feel like I should have been helped into that deep end a little bit
Yeah,
more. You know,
it
like
just like
I
eases
felt,
the. I guess I was cooking while I was doing this, and all I hear the words "wet cunt," and I was just like, ah! I had like grabbed the counter, like what?
I know, I
Because
was
it was
driving and I swerved a little bit. I like, not a lot, but I was just like, oh,
because it
and I'm
is
like,
kind of out of nowhere. You just kind of get slapped with it, and you get the sense like he's sort of intrigued by her and attracted to her. And like I understand the sentiment of this is that like he's still kind of idolizing her and wants her to be like this
but
otherworldly, like unknowable thing. But
yeah,
it was just like, oh, that wording was a little jarring, ladies.
I get the effect of it. I think the preamble to it could have been improved, maybe.
Yeah,
So that way it
you could have
hit
eased
better.
me into it a little more.
Yeah, because I do like the whole like using something as banal as like, oh, her cunt or something like that. It's like, oh, like as you were saying, something so grandiose, a saint. Uh, but it's nothing more than a woman and a woman's flesh. And like, so I can appreciate that concept. It's just the delivery was
Yeah,
just so,
that line in
I mean, that
particular, I
was
was
like
just like,
raw dog.
yeah,
Like, no, no,
like all
nothing.
right, Owen, you're really going for it. All right, buddy.
Yeah, so there were a couple of moments like that. Not very often, but there were a couple of moments with
And
those little things where I was just like,
like
"Nah."
Bloodstar says down here, there are a few moments
Oh,
that humanize Una really well. The slow humanization of Una is very well done, in my
wait, where is
opinion.
this at?
Just the
Oh,
last one,
by who?
the slow humanization.
Oh, here.
Yeah, because the other one that I highlighted from this first death montage was one where she was talking about they stopped at in a town and asked for they needed a
Yes.
bath. So, and they're
Yes.
both sent in the same thing. And Owen is like nervous, like, do men not bathe separately here? And she's like, haha, yes, they do. But most people don't really see me as a woman. I have to be something other to them because I'm just, they can't, it doesn't work in their brains, and I'm fine. Just let it happen. And like, there's what
That
was
was
it
a great scene.
specifically that she said? Yeah, like the first time I tripped over my own hem, the whole court laughed and laughed. I'm not sure which I prefer: to be taken for something I am not, or to be fail at being what I am. Talking about gender stuff, which is so relatable to anyone who is a woman. I feel like so many people feel like they have to perform womanhood, like, in a certain way, and it's just like
Or just anybody who is required to dance to the
perform.
tune of
Yeah.
somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that. There's some really good that Valerie, I'm really glad that you brought up that quote specifically because that was one of the ones. There's another one too, where they talk about, as I mentioned to her, that it's like the definition of a coward and it changes what they say, or like the delivery is a little different between one perspective and the next that we're going to come up to. But whatever the quote is, though, there's some really great turn of phrases in this book that are just overall like it's like, oh, you can quote that's a tattoo. Like that's like it's pretty good.
And like the author does a good job of it. Like there are some books where you read it and you're like, oh, you thought you were spitting with this line, and it's kind of embarrassing. But this
Yeah.
one, I was like, oh, you actually were kind of spitting with this line.
Yeah. Yeah. That is actually really funny. But yes. So anyway, so they make their way back from the dragon. We should continue with the
Yes.
plot. And so they're making their way back from the dragon. There's a few, and again, we've kind of skipped over a couple of them a little bit, but there's
We're
like
gonna
the
have
bath
to, but
scene.
yeah.
Yeah.
The
Like
bath.
for example, the bath scene, there's this one scene where
Oh, there's a
a
scene with that guy at the hand, right? That
that
one's kind of
I was just
important.
gonna say where a villager who's up north who really hates her, it's because of her position as a dominator and taking lands and stuff like that, and some other sins she committed in effort of her queen. Like somebody grabs her hair and like she accidentally goes to just because of PTSD, basically, you get the vibe, and like an automatic, like you touch me, I'm going to attack type of thing where she's constantly on edge. And Owen at the time is like, no, wait. And so she doesn't kill the dude. She chops off his hand and she feels really bad about it. And she's like, God damn, I'm just like an animal. And so we have a couple of these like really big bookmark scenes. And on the way back to the castle, that's basically like Camelot. Um, but anyway, on the way back to the castle, they also have like a night where she's like, oh, you would come lay with me under my furs if you would like, sir. But she's being real nasty about it and kind of like belittling. And he's just like, no, you are a saint to me. I mean, that's not the attitude at all. It's more like, oh, no, please don't look at me. Um,
And
uh,
we should also say he has these like little panic attack moments because of the war,
yeah,
like PTSD flashbacks, and sometimes she will just hold him, like,
yeah.
and it's sweet. They get to know each other. They get comfortable with each other along this journey, even if it's not like explicitly romantic. There's one moment where you think they might kiss, and he pulls away because he knows he's leading her to her death, and she just feels like you get the sense that she feels like, oh, he just recoiled away from me because I'm just a brute or a saint to
What is
him.
fun too is that from Owen's perspective, she's very intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
She is not intimidated. I feel intimidated while I read it, and so that becomes particularly fun later on in the book. But anyway, so they make it there and back to the castle, and he's like, "Oh,
He
go ahead."
he knows how she dies, right? So
Yeah,
the
exactly.
arrows are going to come in as soon as they like ride into like the castle grounds. And
Wait, Val,
yeah.
did you see what Bloodstar said?
What is that?
Okay, wait. Everybody pause. Wait, just hear me out. For a brief moment, I told Val that it sounded like one of my favorite fan fiction authors. And
Oh my
the
god, was it an alpha omega fanfic? Oh my god, Katie.
so it's really funny and it was a Steve Rogers.
Get that boy pregnant.
And I just want you to know that wouldn't surprise Me, if this is the alteration that
Owen should
must
have
have had
been
to.
the one to get pregnant later, you guys. Let's make it happen.
Anyway, so sorry. I'm sorry. We can move on.
Okay, okay, let's get back to the but he warns her. At what point does he warn her? Is it right before the arrows start shooting in this one?
No, it's after the arrow's already shot.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's because it hits her.
Mm-hmm.
It's like as soon as it like starts happening. So anyway, he knows that in the end what happens is as she goes up to the castle, there's actually like people from the what are they called? The Nornsmen or something? I don't remember.
I
Like
don't remember.
Hillsmen or something like that. Something generic. And so they had invaded the castle, if you will, and were in wait for her. And she comes
Oh, the
and
hinterlands, yeah, or the hinterlands.
yeah, thank you, hinterlands, thank you. I just kept thinking Dragon Age when I heard that the whole time. So I it was hard because that's all I could picture. But anyway, oh wait, yeah, the Hillsman. Okay, yeah.
Mm.
Um, let me just put this on silent. But anyway, so she's supposedly going to be shot up full of arrows in the at least according to the original tale. However, of course, Owen feels sort of not great about that ending, and he intercedes with his gun, which apparently he's a crack shot with. And he has 3 bullets, and he goes pew pew pew, and he kills the 3 archers, and so she's able to overcome them. And there's like this whole scene which does get replayed later on in the time travel bit, where she finds him after that battle, and then they go into the castle and they leave the horse hen, who's a jackass, not literally but figuratively, behind. And what happens then?
We go into the castle. We see it's interesting from Owen's perspective. He sees the queen on the throne with the veil, and he's
It's
like,
very
and
beautiful.
like this like crown. He's like, the crown always, like, I saw it in museums. It always looked a little gaudy and like sort of fake in the museums, but here in this lighting, it looks real majestic. And
Yeah.
she
There
and our girl Una like takes the grail up to the queen and is like like bows her head. And I believe is this when Ansel comes out and lops her head off? Is that what happens?
doesn't lops her. I don't think he lops her head off, but what basically happens is you thought that the danger had been done, and then that was the end of it. Also, like this is the artwork I'm talking about. That like I'm picturing, like this kind of
Oh wait,
thing.
I should show you because there's actually illustrations in the book. I'll talk. I'll
Oh
talk. I'll show you
my
later.
god!
There's a few
What?
illustrations and they look quite a bit like that.
That's
But
crazy. But anyway, because that's the vibe, it like the atmosphere. But
oh,
anyway,
she stopped.
yeah, he does. Between the I think her back plate or something. I don't remember exactly. Or no, maybe it's in the chest. But anyway,
Yeah.
the point is Ansel, the knight of the
Another
round table,
another
if you will.
knight of the queen who
Yeah.
was picked up, and it was he was the good in this timeline. He was always he was an excellent knight. They worked together, but
Yeah. And so anyway, it's a big betrayal. And so she dies, and as she's choking horribly after she kills him too, I think. Um
mm,
she's like choking on her blood. It's like gurgling. There's like description of it. It's pretty like good. Like it's a good awful scene.
yeah.
And he's like holding her, and she's like, "Wait for me." And he's in shock. He continues to be in shock. Like he rips off like 3 of his fingernails, like in his shock. Like he's just trying to deal with the pain of her loss. It's because it was so sudden and so intense. And it rings true to me, especially the time travel and like the meaning of like her and everything. So it makes sense to Ansel, says Benedimus. But anyway, I think he's in his like rooms that they leave him in. And then the queen comes to meet with him, if I recall correctly.
Yes,
And
and she pulls back her veil, and lo and behold, it's a Vivian Rolfe.
can I tell you, I already knew that was going to happen
Yeah.
when it happened. Like, it was so apparent with her sending him back like that. And when it's
Mhm.
like, when she said she needs you, I was like, wow, there's an intimacy in this just saying she needs you and
Yeah.
not like, Una everlasting needs you or something
Hmm.
like whatever. And I was just like, oh, okay, there you are. You're a villain. Gotcha. Understood.
Hmm. And it's been a while since I read this first part, so I don't remember the
Oh,
exact parameters of how she sends him back and what he goes back knowing.
so
But
it was actually really confusing. This is where it's very vague in this part. Long story short, they have a conversation. They share some cigarettes over Una's dead body. Um, she's like, "Yeah, I sent you back. I came back and I met the original queen. The original queen when I used the book for the first time when I
that's right, yeah.
discovered it. Yeah, was you know, I came to her and she was like, I need you, like, you're let's do
And
me
she was like,
like
"What a lucky coincidence! We actually looked quite like each other, so I was able to sort of slide into her shoes.
yeah,
People
and her
didn't
role and
remember. I just
everything.
looked younger." Yeah,
Yeah, like any of those isekai like kind of story things that you've ever seen on like webtoons or whatever, where it's like, oh, I fell into the evil whatever, you know, the evil empresses or the evil villainesses role, and that's kind of like the gist of it at first. And first, for a brief moment, I was like, how are we gonna do this? And
yeah.
then I liked the way it progressed perfectly fine.
Hmm.
But anyway, so she says that, and then if I understand, he's like again in shock this whole time, so it's very distanced. But she ends up opening up blood on his scab or whatever, and then it brings him back to the present or whatever. But what a part of what I um thought was going to be difficult to handle for the author at this point when I was like listening to it slash reading it or whatever was, all right, so how does he age? Like there's a couple of more logistical issues that I don't understand how this works, but it ends up not mattering as the
And
book
when he
progresses.
gets sent back, he basically does his whole life again. Like it's
Yeah,
he
it's
goes through his
we like
whole
the
life. He
laws.
Yeah, so he doesn't get sent back to the room with Vivian. He gets sent back to his whole life, and we pick up back with him again, like about at the time when he receives the book, and things are slightly changed this time because of the story that he wrote while he was back in time with Una Everlasting, and the narrative that he spun for the Queen. So things are slightly askew, but he still receives this book in the mail with this address on it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he goes there and he thinks, I don't know why I'm wearing this jacket. It's so hot. And before I get out of the cab, just like last time, was like bracing for him to say something racist, which also happened last time. And he's like, I don't know why I'm thinking about my dad. He runs into his dad. There's this sort of theme of, oh, his body kind of remembers exactly what happened last time, even though it's happening again. And he meets up with Vivian Rolfe again. And she's like, I need you. She gives him the same speech. And he's like you get the sense that he's like a little bit off kilter, but he's still going along with it because he doesn't fully
Yeah.
remember what happened. And he gets sent back, and this time I believe we get the whole narrative that we went through from Una's perspective, right?
Yes, correct. Because at this point, what's interesting is when he gets sent back this time and everything, it's almost like he passes the torch to her narratively. He literally
Mm-hmm.
says, I think you can handle this one, love, or something like that. And it was kind of a little cheesy, and I didn't like that much, but I was like, okay, so we're. But I have to say, the switching to Una's perspective was amazing. Her perspective is so damn good.
It
And it is
was
so.
really fun to be in her head in a way that isn't
Yes.
like a wild fairy tale, like sort of like pulled back. It was a little more
Yeah.
intimate. Yeah,
She's the blood, sweat, and tears of the moment. Like it's really good because we get a rehash of all the previous scenes that we just had through his perspective, but slightly different because again, it's not the same moment, it's just a relived moment. And during that time, you get all of her interpretations of certain things, and I was a little doubtful for me to believe in her this version of her because I was given such an idol to look at from his
yeah.
perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But the success through which her perspective is told, or the success that comes from her perspective being told the way it is, very much is gratifying. From like the juxtaposition between the two of their experiences is very romantic. It's actually really good.
Yeah, I quite liked being in her perspective. I was surprised. I was ready to be kind of annoyed by it,
I was
but
too.
the way she describes him, like his glasses as like panes of glass, like the way
It's
like
really
it's
nice. And
and
it's like how she says of you're like she I'm butchering this. But she's like you're like so fragile. You're so fragile. Who but somebody fragile or what, I don't know, something like that, would wear panes of glass before their eyeballs or something like that. And it's like a weakness. She sees it as a weakness, is what
Hmm.
it is. And it's like, oh, you like literally shatter or like anything else. And just like also like what kind of life do you live where you can just have something balancing on your nose or whatever, I guess, is the insinuation. And it's really awesome. Like it's very authentic sounding.
Hmm. And just for anyone who is confused, we have gone back in time a second time. Vivian's doing the same shit again. She's going
Yeah.
sending back in time. She needs the Grail to be delivered again, and we get the sense that she is trying to set up a prophecy to be happening that she needs
Yes.
for herself in this like modern timeline where Owen comes from. So she's like, I need to keep sending this guy back so that he can set up this prophecy for me, so that I can
To
take
mark it off
advantage
of.
of, yes, in the
Yeah.
future. Yeah.
And what's interesting too is that we didn't say this before, but the original time where he meets his father, you know, like during their protest, when he meets with Vivian, she's like, you know, I wish I could just round them up and, you know, like animals or whatever. And she's very blasé about it, and he doesn't like the way because he thinks of his father, and he's like he pictured his father being rounded up by soldiers and stuff like that. And but she's like, yeah, I don't have enough political power to do that because she's like on the out. And then on the second rerun of their story together, she has slightly more power, and so they are being rounded up. And there are soldiers, like, I think, crowding the alleyways and coming out. So there's no place to run, even though they're being told to disperse. He's like, but where are they to disperse to? There's no place to go. And then he sees his father, like, being hit in the face or something like that.
Yeah, his father
And
gets like trampled in the crowd.
but he's
Yeah.
being like taken away by like some political
So
person
Vivian
or like
has more power this time around directly
yeah.
because of what he has written in his story the last time, which he doesn't remember. And
Yes.
this time she's doing it again to grasp a little bit more power. But we see it through Una's perspective. And
Hmm.
the same thing happens, and they're a little bit more intimate this time. You get the sense that they kind of remember each other, even though they don't. They're more comfortable with each other. Their like romantic feelings happen a little bit faster this time.
Yeah.
And
Which from my original perspective on the book, I was like, okay, I guess. And then, but then later on, with like the insinuation of how many times this has happened, and it, like this almost like moment, like where you're like, how many times has this happened already?
you
Like,
get the sense
it's
it's happened way more than we've seen. Way, way more.
yeah. And it reminds me of like a couple different movies. There are a couple different sci-fi movies that have done similar things where it's like, oh wait, like oh, like for example, oh god, that's such, I actually thought it was a pretty good success, but the what is it, Dead by Daylight or whatever movie on Netflix.
Haven't seen
There's like
it.
it's actually pretty good. But there's
Mhm.
this like one realization moment where they're like, "Oh my god, we've relived this night like a million times already." And so there's this like kind of feeling to that. So it does fill in the weight, it carries the weight a little bit of that quickening in their romance a little bit, because like you're
Mhm.
like, oh, there probably is groundwork, we just haven't been privy to it.
Yeah. And Chris says Una's
Oh,
POV
Until
was
Dawn,
crude
not
and
Dead by
oh, yes.
Daylight. Shame. Until
Yeah.
Dawn. Yep. Yeah. Well, same
Yeah.
thing. Horror.
And
Yeah,
like
whatever.
Chris says over here, Una's POV was crude and off-putting for me. I can kind of understand. Like, I don't really like that she calls him boy. It feels a little bit like
Gross.
gross, and
It feels
like
gross.
I don't. I'm not a huge fan of it. Like, it feels a little like, and it's funny. Like in a lot of ways, it plays off like romantasy tropes like that are like flipped. There's one actual like there's one line of dialogue that's hilarious. One I've read like a million times in romantasy where he runs into her and it's like running into a cliff face, which is exactly like it's like running into a wall, which I've read 1,000
I
times.
know.
But like it's a little bit humorous, and like because it's flipped, it doesn't bother me as much. I
You
don't
know what?
know.
Also, have you? I'm hoping you say yes, but I have a feeling you'll probably say no. Have you ever watched or read Claymore, the manga?
No, I haven't. Sorry.
No, it's okay. The only reason I bring it up is because if any of you guys have seen slash read, I mostly read, I'm not really watched, Claymore, although Back in my day, I made an AMV out of that on my Windows
Hey.
Movie Maker. um, but anyway, it's actually a similar. It's the reason I bring it up. It's because I very rarely see this representation of characters where there's like a kind of like weaker, more fragile male like outline. Um, like that's doe-eyed or like or innocent or whatever have you, more boyish if you will, and then you have like this like woman, like this strong like older woman, like but there's like this like weird room, like I don't know how I always feel about it. It's because I've seen incarnations of it throughout mostly like honestly Japanese stuff, but
Mhm.
um I I've never really seen many books describe this specific kind of relationship, so I like this description of it. I just that boy thing is a I don't need that part.
Yeah,
We
I
can
don't need
just
that
delete that
part.
because he doesn't sound like a boy either. He sounds like he's like in his freaking 20, like 28, 30, 32, something like that.
Yeah, no, he's not young. They're both in their 30s, as stated. We got some Claymore fans in the comments, though.
Yeah, big ladies. Like that's what Claymore is. It's a whole bunch of really big ass women and they're
Hell
just like
yeah.
really sexy and like powerful.
Anyway, getting back on track before
Yes.
we lose it. Where were we? Oh yeah, okay. We're in Una's perspective. We're not going to linger on it too long. We go through the same plot beats
Yeah.
essentially, and we get back, and he warns her about the arrows before they go in this
Yes.
time, so that she is ready. And I want to read a little quote from her perspective that kind of got me a little bit. That this is Una talking about how she Owen wanted her to not go in at all. He wanted her to run away and not go in to meet her death. But she was like, okay, thank you for telling me I'm going to go in and kind of meet my death anyway. So I shrugged again. I could not. I found it easier to answer if I looked away from your accusing, red flaked gaze. It was the whole reason you were sent here in the first place. You wanted a grand story, a fitting end to your book, and I wanted to be what you wanted. Was that not how you loved someone? By hammering your body into whatever shape they liked best and handing yourself to them like a hilt? Which I thought was just like, oh baby, that's a line. That one hits a little bit.
Again, many lines in this book that you can tattoo on your body and you probably won't regret it too much in about 20 years. Um, but real quick, there was a couple of comments. The
Mhm.
passing comment about how Ansel basically called her a man at one point, but he rolls that way. So it's
It's like
fine
you're
was
good thing I
wild.
like men because you are one.
Yeah, and then
What a
let's
bitch.
see here. No, oof, shows how damaged Una is. Oh yes, yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh, that's what Bloodstar says is that it shows how damaged she is. That was again, that was a lovely line.
Yeah.
It was like I was just like, oh, okay, perfect. That's exactly her perspective, and that's what's really cool about this particular book's use of dual perspectives like this, where it talks to you in second person, but it's like it's very well done. There's this like intimacy of like telling a secret throughout the book, which is very nice, and so it builds in your empathy towards like what's currently going on,
Because it's
especially
kind
as
of
it
like you feel
layers.
like you, the reader, are in between Una and
Yeah,
Owen, and they're whispering to each other kind of past you. And
yeah,
like, they're like, isn't this how you love a person? And they're kind of responding to each other, and you're in between them,
it's
just
a
sort of watching this.
conversation,
Yeah, uh huh.
and I thought
It's
she did.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great format for this, especially through the time thing. It's just weird because it's not normal, like obviously. But what I mean is that plus the gender like plus all the layers of this story, it's a lot that this author is juggling, and again I think successfully does so, but it is a lot. So
Hmm.
anyway, uh she goes back to the castle, like we left off. She I don't remember, they overcome the archers in some way, whatever, it doesn't matter. And the the people there, the hillsmen, to kill them. And she gets betrayed by Ansel again, I think, right?
Hmm.
And this one, I don't remember this death
I don't remember
particularly
exactly, but
well.
she's ready for it. I think they fight, but she does, in fact, still die.
Die,
Like,
yeah.
hmm.
And then he gets reset a couple of times, doesn't he?
I don't remember. Is this the one where I think this is the one where he remembers and he like goes up. to Vivian afterwards, and he's like, how many times has this happened? And she's like, oh. And there's a funny line where he like describes her as like, she looked like she'd been caught in an accounting error or something.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, so you remembered. That's interesting. And he's like, I'm not doing this for you anymore. I can't keep watching her die. I don't remember if there was one after this, but they definitely did make us go through it again. I think I would have gotten annoyed if they made us go through it again. But yeah, she's like, oh, that's interesting. I still need you to write this for me. And he's like, absolutely not. I'm not doing this propaganda for you anymore. Like, I don't care. And she's like, I think you do, because if you want to see her again, you're gonna write this for me. If you want me
Mm-hmm.
to send you back so that I can send you back again and you could see her, you're gonna write this for me. He's like, put in a room with no food for a while. And she's like, okay, you're gonna write this for me? He writes it. He leaves, it's mentioned some uh, uh, grammatical errors in his own writing
Oh, yes,
for
yes,
himself.
because yeah, because
Mm-hmm.
that's how he and his radical father communicated. So every certain punctuation error, several spaces
Every
back
letter
and
after the
forth.
error in punctuation is the letter that you use for
Yeah,
the secret message.
but he doesn't really cotton on to it until later. Like what's going on? Is this the one where he goes to her bedroom?
So what happens is, so he writes, so just finishing up this back thing, he writes his thing.
That's right.
The Queen Vivian is like, uh we learn, I don't remember if we learned at this point, but eventually we learn that she has been the queen the whole time.
Yeah,
She has not just replaced the queen, she is the queen. She's
this time
always been the
round,
queen.
what will you see is he sees the change in history because he starts remembering the old memories, and he sees how all the kings of the past were no longer kings. Instead, there were queens after queens after queens after queens. And
Mm-hmm.
it's her, and he realizes this at some point during this part. But he realizes, oh shoot, she's every single one of these queens and just keeps continuing to rule instead of herself.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
But at this point, so at the very end, she's like, I need you to set up this prophecy just explicitly. She's like, when we find the grail and the blah blah blah, the next queen will be found. Like, and so he writes it for her, leaving the grammatical errors. She sends him back, and right before, she's like says, actually, you're not going back again. Like, this is the last time I'm sending you back. You're never going to see your girlfriend again. Stab. He goes back, wakes up, he goes through the motions, same thing over and over again. He's still a scholar, blah, blah, blah. But this time, when he goes back, receives the address in the book, goes back to meet the queen, or not the queen, Vivian, the minister of war or whatever, she's like, you actually are going to translate this book for me now. I'm not going to send you back anywhere. He receives crazy accolades for his work translating this piece of fiction, and eventually she finds the Vivian finds the tomb of Una Everlasting, and she finds the Grail inside it. Oh my God! The person who found the Grail is the person who's going to be the queen forever. It said so in the prophecy in the book, The Death of
mhm.
Una Everlasting. And oh my gosh! Look at this little brown boy who found the book and translated it. Is suddenly like, oh, look at this cool little boy who's part of Dominion history. And so he's living the good life. He's got money and
He's got
riches.
a huge like office. It's he has everything that he could have possibly wanted in his initial incarnation prior to him experiencing anything.
However,
However, if I recall correctly, he recollects all his memories. Is this correct?
um, slowly but surely, and I think it's because, so he reaches out to his
Father?
his friend, not his friend, his professor, the lady
Yeah.
who found the Grail in
Hmm.
Una Everlasting's grave, and he's like, "Congratulations, girlfriend, on this huge find! I can't believe you did that." And he's like, "Why are you packing up? Like, you getting a bigger office or something?" And she's like, "No, I was fired." And he's like, "What the fuck? Why?" And she's like, "I tried to like destroy it or something." And he's like, why would you try to destroy it? And she's like, I found this, like a little cigarette butt, a little Lucky Star cigarette butt in the in this tomb where they should not have been a cigarette butt. We should have
Yeah, so
Vivian
she thinks it's been yeah.
tampered with, and like and our boy starts to question things. And we should note again, when he went back to see Vivian for the first time, he's like, why am I wearing my coat? Why am I thinking about my dad? Like, all of these, the body remembers comes up quite a bit, like in these returning timeline situations. Um, and then he goes to see his dad because he's got all these kind of suspicions roiling about in his brain. And he's like, Dad, if I was going to say break into the Minister of War's chambers, how would I do that? And his dad is like,
And
"Fuck you, man! You're trying to get
wait,
me caught in a like a
wait.
political scheme."
Note, his dad's
Like,
already in prison, by the way,
yeah,
and he has to go to prison to have like like a talk with him, as you will, um, in their world and era's version of that, and during that time, his dad's pretty caustic. It's because they've had a really stressed relationship. And as Val said, he asks that. And at first, his dad's like, God, like, it's the expression on his face. And he's just like, wow, you really we've sunk this low that you've come to interrogate me. And he's like, no, I'm not here to interrogate you. And
no,
then
I
he feels
actually
like,
want to get into her chambers.
yeah. And this is where he learns that, which I thought was a good twist because I genuinely thought like the original telling of this was true, which I don't know why I thought that, but this is how we learn that his father is not his real father.
Not his
Uh,
biological father, yeah.
yeah, it's not his excuse me. Yeah, he is a real father. I mean, he tried. But he's not his biological father, and he was actually his father back when he was part of the military, and he came across the Hills tribe people or whatever. They shot into the brush blindly, and when they came upon the people, where they had like also, which I thought was interesting, it reminded me of the speakers actually from the Castlevania series, but it's
Hmm.
like they had like a whole bunch of scrolls and stuff in their wagon or whatever it is. And so you get the gist that these people were like storytellers or people that like told stories, which is also told you is a cultural thing for them. But amongst the dead bodies is an infant, and who is that infant but our young man Owen?
Yeah, he found
And
her like a woman was shot. He doesn't know if he shot her or if she was dead already, but she was clutching this boy in her arms and she was dead. And he was like, I gotta take this boy. I can't just leave this boy here. And he was discharged from the army because he tried to quit, but they wouldn't let him. So he shot himself like through the hip, and it
yeah,
was yeah.
it's pretty crazy. And he's like, I didn't let you go for 165 days or something like that. And like, so it's a really beautiful story too. Like as far as that goes. And also in the comments, they're talking about like because it's described that the room he's in when he's talking to his father is the color of
The
soap
color of
scum.
soap scum. I
Yeah,
imagine sort
I
of a
imagine
thick
gray
yellow.
dishwater. Yeah, like a
Yeah.
yellow or gray, yellow gray or something like that. But anyway, so he learns that, but it doesn't like matter. It doesn't make him hate his father or anything. He's just like, oh my god, that means. And then he's like, so what would you have done if you'd had the freedom? And he's like, yeah, I would have traveled. And I'm like, oh, so does everybody who doesn't have a child. They all want to travel. But anyway, he was like, you really sacrificed for me. Thank you. And like, it's a nice moment for
It is a nice moment.
um Owen, especially because he often calls himself a coward or people call him a coward or whatever. And there are several moments where you're like, Owen, you're a little couldn't you have like not wriggled like a worm so much? But it actually adds to his character and it makes it so much better when he does grow later on,
Yeah.
which we're about to see. Actually, I wish I could have grabbed the quote for it, but anyway, so he talks to his dad about this, and his dad whispers in his ear the name of the person who knows how to get into the personal quarters of the chancellor or whatever, and so we jump a little bit, and
He's like, it's
we're
surprisingly easy. You just have to. He was like, because I'm famous actually and like a world renowned. I was like, can I look at your libraries? I hid in a closet and then snuck out at night into a room. It was surprisingly easy to get around when you're rich and have a status. Like,
yeah.
but yeah, do you want to go over this scene with Vivian? I know you liked it.
Sure, yes. Also, real quick, Bananimus says, when his father says something like, I hurt you before I even knew I loved you. I know.
Like,
There, again,
yeah,
there are some
there are some
banger
real big.
lines.
Yeah, yeah, there are.
So there's this scene's really cool. I wish I had the quote and stuff for it. Just go read it, you know? But it's really cool. It's because he basically wakes up Vivian, and he's got his Colt or whatever it is his gun, to her, pointed at her, and he's very cold and very like a kind of a bit of a different character, but it matches where he's so far been urged towards, especially with the conversation with his father just previously. So it feels like this is an earned moment and doesn't feel unearned. And he's like, you know, where's the book? And it's assumed they are both on the same page. Like they have the discussion of like they both remember and everything. And I'm not going to do it justice. But the point being is that Vivian gives this really, really stellar like monologue. I mean, it's a villain monologue, but it's a stellar,
There's a
absolutely.
couple of points where, not sorry to interrupt, but
No,
there's like
go.
Vivian is like, I love the way she's described because, uh, just going back for a second, the very first time Owen walks in like to see like Vivian in the
Yeah.
past time when she pulls
Yeah.
back the veil, he's like, Vivian, if she like wasn't, you know, who she is, would have been a really great stage director because she's really good at
Yes.
setting this scene and making this like air of like this is
Like this
the
big heavy
importance,
atmosphere. Yeah.
and like she delivers these monologues throughout and you get the sense that she kind of loves it. And there's one point, I think it's this scene where like he asks a question and she's like, oh, that's a really good question actually. And, like the prose says like it was like she'd been like waiting for someone to ask her this question so that she could go on this little monologue. It's like she's so like it's kind of delightful to see her because you get the sense she's kind of bored, like
She's
being
lonely.
she's
She's
bored
lonely.
and lonely. Like
Yeah, and it comes across very much so. But also, turn for turn, Owen is very cold to her here, and I love her. I love his threat against her. I don't even remember what it was, but it is so calculating and so good, and you're just like, fuck yeah, Owen, you're finally standing up for everybody. And but at the same time, Vivian's really good. Like, it sounds great, and you're like, oh my god, Vivian, I'm kind of like on your side a little bit. I think maybe. And this is where, real quick, before I forget, this is something that's going to come up later, and it's the idea of the difference between, the same thing happens between Una and Owen. There's this difference between, how do I phrase this? Um, the spiritual satisfaction and the practicality of pursuing your own happiness versus pursuing the grander picture of what will make a better tomorrow for all involved. And there's this tug of war between what is Vivian actually after? Like, is she actually that altruistic where she's looking for that? And there finally does come a point later in the book, where you realize no, it's just trauma, and it's just trauma scabbing over itself. And instead of it being the pursuit of a better tomorrow, like a true nationalistic, we're going to come together for the better people. Because I'm sorry, let me write this down real quick because there's a point I want to make.
yeah.
I remember thinking about this earlier, and I was like, I don't want to forget this, and I forgot about it until just now.
Yeah. I think at this point, what we learn from Vivian and what she kind of tells us is that, like, she has been, like, kind of clawing at this power for a long time. And what Owen doesn't understand is that when you are a woman in a position of power in this patriarchal society, like, she has to do like put up she has to work so hard just to stay in this position of power. Like the minute you like she's like, do you want me to like be a suffragette or something? Do you want me to do this? No, they'll eat
Yeah.
me alive. Like you idiot. Like I can't
So
show an ounce of this. Una's more used to me dead than alive because, you know, if she's alive, then she's like, you know, a hope for little girls. But if she's dead, she's an icon. She's like she's something I can use. Like, you know, it's
real quick, Park Z said exactly what I was going to say. She built the society, though. That's what I was going to say. There's this one part, right? There's this one part, and this is how you know it's trauma, and it doesn't come from an altruistic place. And that's where I felt like the author did a really good job distinguishing between the difference of it in a very like maybe they didn't do it so pointedly with so much like, oh, I'm going to do that right here, and it just worked out that way, or maybe they did. But what's funny is that, as Val said, there's this one part where she's talking to Owen. I'm pretty sure it's during a later part that she gets more into the anger about it, but she does talk about it here. And she's like, I have built every rung to the ladder that I have climbed. She's
Mhm.
like, I have been each person and relied only upon myself to get where I'm at. And she's like, and yet they are like vultures. And at any given point, I can't, and she says very bland, like bluntly. She's like, I can't fuck who I choose. I can't get married. I can't do this. I can't do that because I'm still a woman at the end of the day. And a queen is only good if there are no princes or kings around. And I'm just thinking to myself, that's how you know it comes from a place of selfishness. Because, in my opinion, personally, if it didn't come from a place of selfishness where she's only thinking about herself, she would have thought about the other women in the nation and about how they were treated and about how they like, and she would have carved out into her society a place for her to have that reigning power. And that's where I think she inherently went wrong, is that she didn't value women. She only valued herself above all others. And because she was so angry about how she was treated, which we'll
Mhm.
get to. But anyway, I thought that was such a complicated concept to have to touch on.
Yeah, no, and I thought, like, for the most part, extremely well done, and like that conversation with her and Owen there was really interesting. And then Owen um has been like sort of like digging his like fingernails into his, he has the book in his hand, she tossed it to him as so he's digging his like fingernails into his palm, I think, or something like that. And sorry,
Bananimous,
was there, yeah.
yeah, real quick. See, I agree, but I think maybe potentially. So Bananimous says, I love the idea, but the narrative leaned a little too hard into the idea that even after everything Vivian did to affect society, patriarchy still persists out of nature instead of at the fault of her selfishness. I think the author tiptoes on the line of oopsieing that and making a statement about Vivian as a character. I can't tell which it is. I prefer to think it's the better version. If that makes sense. Does that make
No,
sense?
no, I agree. There's like a couple of, there's, it's this next section after I finish this little
Yeah.
summary here, I'm gonna have some issues with some of the themes that come up. But so yeah, Owen, he's got his gun pointed at her. He's like, fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a good shot, I'm a good shot. So he's like, he's bleeding onto the book. And she says something, and he decides to shoot her. He's about to shoot her, but she
Yeah, because
has
she,
Valiance, the blade, in her hands, and she's holding it in a specific angle. And he shoots, and right as he shoots, she moves it just in the right angle, as if the prose says they've been here before, and she knew exactly where it was going to hit. And then he bleeds on the book, and he goes back to the yew tree with Yuna. Um, and you're like, oh my god, has this scene happened a million times before? It's probably,
yes.
probably. And like, it kind of makes you go like, oh my god, this is insane. But we go to, he meets Una by the yew tree, and this is where
She
they,
remembers too.
yeah, she remembers. They hug each other, and this is where they start a life together.
Hmm.
For 9 years, they are on the run. They they have the book, so they're able to travel through space and time, and they have three rules. The first rule is, hold on, actually, the
It's
first
like
rule
never
is
stop.
that they cannot stay in one place for too long.
Oh wait, I think that's the second one. Or okay, the first one is don't go before
Don't go
her
before.
her birth.
Yes. So they can't go before his time or after her. Or yeah, what you
Before
said.
her birth or after his death, or so, I don't know,
Yes.
something like that. I
Hmm.
don't remember,
Yeah.
but something like that. And the second one,
Hmm.
as we said,
Yeah.
don't stay in one place for too long.
And the
What was
third
the
one
third?
was the one that sucks the most, which is you do not interfere with anything that happens anywhere, because this
Yeah,
is timey wimey shit. We don't want to interfere with the machinations of it. Um,
because then
so
it will give a tip off. Because what Vivian says is she's like, dude, I already know. We've already like again. She hints at the idea that this has already happened. She's already accounted for this. She is. You are just a pawn in her game, and she's just like, and she sells it. And she says, I'll find you, and if you decide to do this, you're gonna hurt for it, and just expect the hurt once this happens. And so
mhm.
he's like, ah, shit. So like he's forever on the run, which to me, just like by the way, as a side note, I'm just like, how long are they gonna live? Like
Right.
how long do they live for until this becomes like what? I don't know. It's very up in the air.
Yeah, this is the section that I had some issues with, and I liked a
Yeah.
lot of it, but so we get their romance, we get their first sex scene, which is a little weird, and like honestly, the verbiage of the sex scene I found a little jarring and like unnecessary. I don't know
It wasn't
why.
the worst. It was
It
not
wasn't
the
a bad, it
worst.
was not a bad sex scene. It
It
was fine. Like
I
it
mean,
was just
look.
like
So there was a certain amount of sensualness or like ambiance that just didn't quite hit with their sex scenes.
mhm.
There was a certain amount of intimacy that we didn't yet build upon in like a, I don't know how to explain this because like we got some small moments and the different perspective and the reliving and everything got to build upon it, but there is something a little off about the acceptance of a graphic sex scene that she didn't build up in the narrative so far that allowed for me to be okay with that graphicness. I don't know.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does to me. I feel the same way, and I'm trying to figure out what she could have done differently that would have made it feel more
Just
earned.
don't say cock or like go down on
Yeah,
him and slide down
yeah,
on him and that type of stuff.
yeah. I don't know. It just felt a little bit vulgar in a way
Yes,
that like just didn't quite like
I think that
mesh
was the
in with the
point.
rest of it.
I
Yeah,
think that was her
and
point
that's
though.
fun. And that's yeah, that's fine. I guess it's just like it also didn't really do anything for me. So I was just kind of like, what's the point of this vulgarity if it's not? It doesn't feel that horny to
I think it's supposed to
me.
make us fall in love with them as a couple in like a
I
romantic way.
guess, but it didn't
Um,
really do that for me either.
it did it a little bit successful. Like I'd give it a
It's sweet.
25% success.
Like listen, there was a certain amount of emotional intimacy you got from this moment and seeing them
Yeah.
sort of talk to each other through that, and I get that.
Yeah.
It worked. It was fine. Like
It's certainly not working. It's just it's a little off. That's all.
yeah, there was just something about it that I was just like, this is almost what I wanted it to be, but just it's not quite
It's so
there.
funny that you say that because that's how I felt about the whole book. It was so weird.
Yeah, yeah. We're on the same page, and I'm about to talk about some things that it might sound okay. I'll get there when I get there. But so yeah, 9 years again. Like they're going from town to town. We get sort of a montage effect of them, and we specifically this is the start of my issues, and I would like to say first and foremost, I'm very pro-choice, you guys. I'm very pro-choice, but
Oh,
there's I have
okay.
some issues with the things that happen here. And it has nothing to do with the fact that they get abortions. They do get abortions, and that's great. She didn't want a baby. They don't want a baby. That's fine. Get rid of them. They travel to get like contraceptives. Sometimes she goes to a brothel to get contraceptives. They they get rid of a couple of babies.
They're proactive about it. Yeah.
yes. But you'd think they don't have condoms yet. I don't know. They could have traveled back and got some condoms if
Maybe
those
they just don't
existed.
like raw dog. Like maybe like wait, then why didn't he get her birth control? Why didn't she
See,
get an IUD?
again,
Are
this
there
brings up
IUDs? Is
questions.
there birth control?
This brings up questions. But anyway,
So again, yes, that's the biggest problem with this book is the questions that get brought up during those moments where you're like, wait a second.
okay, but yes, so they have a couple of abortions, and eventually, she has one, and like they have like a little conversation, and they decide, hey, maybe we want to have babies. And I'm gonna pause right here and say it's an insane choice to have children while you're on the run. You are not building community. You're actively not building community. You are not teaching anyone stories or morals. Or you're just two lonely people on the run, and you decide to have kids because what? Because you're lonely, you're
It's
not going to
so
raise them, you're
anime-y.
not going to teach them to live in this society. Like it's a wild choice. It's a wild
It's
choice.
so dreamlike. And that's what takes me out of it is like this and this is the problem I foresaw forever ago was there's a dreamlike quality to the book and this is where the author really digs deep into that dreamlike quality to go into their like happy space and you're kind of like all right I see what you're doing. You
And
want to
yes,
build connection with me. You want me to care when it's all lost, so that way when they get it back, it's really happy and awesome. And I get it. Or you want me to feel the loss of them. I get it. But at the same time, same thing. I'm like, you've been together for not. I've been together with my husband for 8 years. We haven't had a baby. I don't necessarily feel the need to have
and
a baby.
one of my biggest issues with this book, and again, like I'm going to talk about it more as it goes on because it continues to be an issue for me, the way she handles parenthood in this.
Yeah.
Because like I don't really know if I like the philosophy on it.
What
And
is the philosophy, even though?
exactly, and like what I was talking in the Discord with the other book club people like last night after I finished
What
it,
the fuck?
and
What do you mean a wolf? Do you see? I don't look like a
Will, don't
wolf.
be rude. I'm in the middle of something. Shut up. Shut up. No one listen to Will. I'm talking.
Okay, continue. I'm so
I
sorry.
lost my train of thought, Will.
I'm so sorry. That's my
Um,
fault, though.
what was I saying?
Oh, you were talking about you don't know how she feels about the how you feel about her philosophy
Okay,
on.
yes, yes. On children, I think it's weird because she's been so heavy-handed with her themes about like fascism and reiterating it and like this is fascism that we're doing here, guys. This is fascism that we're doing. And like I was talking to the people in the Discord in the book club last night, and like how a big part of combating fascism is community and building community. And you would think that this book would have something to say about the importance of community and building a family in community, and she had nothing to say about it here with these two people starting a family and actively pulling it away from community.
Not interacting. And he
And
specifically says at one point, he's
yes,
like, I didn't tell my children any stories.
I'm
Yeah, are
gonna
you
I'm
gonna
gonna
read it?
read that
Okay,
part
go.
because like she addresses it here and
That
it's
felt
subtle. And
weird.
if the rest of it was as subtle as this, I wouldn't have called it out. But I feel like this needed more exploration.
Well, this whole concept is them playing pretend in
Yeah,
it's like when you constantly tiptoe in your own house because you're afraid to make a sound. That's what their personalities felt like in
yeah,
this moment, so it wasn't truly them. And so
yeah.
it's like, how can you have children and bring children into the world when you're not yourself?
So yeah, let me read this. Summer. The honey tastes of dog rose, and their son's hair is long enough to make a slim white braid. His father tells him stories as he braids it of dragons and crowns and swords. The boy says one day he will be a knight, and the scholar says too sharply, no. He tells no more tales after that, and eventually his son stops asking them. It occurs to the scholar that he has slowly become his own opposite. As a
Mhm.
historian, he chased stories, collected them, cherished them, pressed them tenderly between the pages of books so that the whole world could read them. Now he stamps them out, frantically, and buries the remains. He misses his work. He misses the university library even more. But if the knight can put away her sword, then he can put away his pen. He no longer fears the cold, and the knight no longer flinches from the fire. Surely it's enough. And it's just like, again, like, it's the children are so underutilized in this book. They're mentioned that they are loved. They're mentioned as this sort of thing that bonds them together as a like they're a family now. But I feel like they're used in a strange way in this
They're not
story.
people. It's
They're
because they're
not
not people.
people. And what really, really bothers me is like they have two of them eventually. They have this family. Vivian eventually catches up with them. She finds them because they break the rules. They settle down by the yew tree. They have this family. Um, and Vivian finds them and is essentially like, sorry, like, the gig is up. And she says offhand, this is what really got to me. I was like, what are we doing? She's like, every time this happens, because apparently this has happened several times, you guys have the two same children. Don't worry, it's always going to be those two. And I'm like, hold on a minute. You guys had abortions. What are you telling me? What do you mean they're the same two children every time? Like, you're making me think about this. You're making me think about this, like, sort of like
Spiritual.
biological, spiritual fate of these two children being yours every time. And like, I don't like that. I feel like it's a weird. I
It's
don't like it.
it's it's too easy.
And it's like, oh, it's fate, we love each other. I'm like, I guess that's kind of sweet, but like, we've read The Witcher does destiny and childhood stuff so well, and this is just like, oh, just because we loved them, these are always going to be the two children we have. And like, that's not true. Children require work, and you need to love them and choose to love them every time. It's not like oh, like like this whole the body remembers thing doesn't work for children. It just doesn't work. It's like, oh, we're always going to love our children because it's the same two of them every time. And like, when you have the sex on the same day, it doesn't make sense. I know that doesn't happen. Like, sorry, I'm losing my shit about this. It's just so, it irritates me.
No, it's fine. Also, they got bored. Correct. They got bored of each other because they weren't actually, which is an interesting commentary, because they weren't being their normal selves. They got bored of their pantomime of the life that they wanted for each other. But what else could they have pursued?
And
I
but
don't know.
like, sorry,
See,
sorry. Highlight Will's comment. Like, if
where is
like
it?
the this is
Oh
that's why
yeah,
it felt like a weirdly like anti-abort. I know this is not what the author meant to do,
that the
but
fetus
it
has a soul. Yeah.
feels like an anti-abortion sentiment, sort of like tumbled in. Like, this feels like something that like a pro-life person would be like, "Haha, gotcha." Like, and it's just like something about it did not hit
There's
right
a
with me.
weird narrative to that as a theme that isn't, I don't think, a theme. Like, it's just not a theme that we appreciate. At least it's because it's not something we agree with. Which I mean, I'm on
Well,
the same
thank
page.
you for letting me go on that little rant.
Oh no, absolutely. Like, no, but I agree. That's what, there's some things that, again, with the time, between the time travel, between the characters, between the pacing, between the abnormal story structure of it, you kind of have to ask yourself, like, okay, why were these choices made? So if these choices were made, they're like, okay, so that reason, is there a reason, or is it more a character study and it just so happens we accidentally got to these things? Like, anyway, food for thought. But the point being, though, is oh, where did we even get to? I think they met back. Oh, they had the
They
children.
have the children.
They,
Vivian catches up with them,
yeah,
I
and
think goes to them.
long story short,
Mm-hmm.
Una is has changed as a person, but not that much. She's still her, original badass self, and
Owen is more of the mom figure. She's like, she doesn't quite know what to do with children, but it's sweet. The sort of a role reversal of parenthood, which I found refreshing. Like it's fine.
yeah, it's fine. Um, and then anyway, they're cornered in their own home. Their kids are out, and he used a certain language, Middle English or something, whatever
Which
he
he
called it.
taught them. Run away if you hear
Yeah.
this voice.
And so he was like, yeah, come out, children, but in the language, and they know, oh, I'm not supposed to listen to this then, and hide. And so they go into the cabin. She has a couple of men with her. Long story short, they get into a little scuffle. Una's still really good at fighting. But in the end, what happens is
Vivian leans in close and whispers something to her,
yeah,
and Una hesitates. And in that moment of hesitation
she
is,
shoots her
mhm.
in the heart. And then, of course, Owen is like, my wife. I mean, I'm belittling it. It is actually sad, but like, it's not going to end here because you have
Mhm.
3 more hours in the book.
I know.
But anyway, he's like, oh, my wife. And they she shoots him in the leg when he because he burned the book, by the way, guys. Like, when she's like, where's the book? And so they go, and when they trekked back to the house, he got it out, and then he's like, yeah, and he throws it into the fire. And then she's like, come on, let's walk. And then she gets the kids to come out and everything, and so they're hiking up to what but the yew tree. And
The
then Owen thinks to himself, golly gee, that book was made out of wood. It was a very abnormal book. I wonder, mayhaps, is it the yew tree? And so this is where, which it was actually a fun reveal. I'm belittling it, but it is
Yes,
actually fun.
the book is magical because it's made of the magic yew tree, you guys.
Yes. And so they go back to the yew tree, and that's why they keep, because he always wondered. The thing is we're not, highlighting the little foreshadowing pieces that came before that like led up to this, but it was like, oh, okay, I like that. I did like it. I was like, okay, because I wondered where the heck did the book come from, and so slowly
Mhm.
but surely some of these things are answered in ways that I appreciated. And so she's like, I'm gonna keep your kids hostage. You have to go back and do it all over, and I promise this time when you come back around, you guys can have your kids. So like, it'll work out for you. Just go do the thing. And he's like, curses. And then it's very traumatic for him and his kids. And then he goes back. Well, forward, if you will.
Mhm.
Um, and this time round, Dominion is not, which the country, is not doing too hot because he dismantled the legend a bit.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
It's not so much an empire anymore. Or
Yeah,
is it?
and
This part's a little hazy. You read this probably more recently than I did. If you want to take
all I
over the.
remember is that I'm pretty sure this is during the time where he remembers everything from the get-go. Um he goes and he talks with his father at one point, but it's in the bar with his throuple partners. We didn't say this. Somebody in the comments said it earlier, but his dad is actually part of a throuple. um
Oh yeah, and he's a little bit like, oh, gross, Dad. That's nasty.
Yeah.
Oh wait, did we learn? Did Vivian, before she sent him back, did she tell him that she was Una's biological
Yes.
mother?
Yes, you are correct. Sorry.
Yes. So yeah, Vivian reveals to not to Una, or maybe to Una before she killed her.
She
Regardless,
does. Before she
yes,
killed Una, she said, like something, something, and it indicated that she was her mother. And so Owen is told before he's sent back, he's like, yeah, it's the only, like, and it's not said very, like, it just said offhandedly, but
yes, yeah.
you, as the reader, connect the
He kind of
dots.
asked her, and she's like, yeah, I am her biological mother. That's true. And you, the reader, are like,
Very
okay.
interesting. Um, because the love being described between her and Una prior to this, that makes sense. It was a mother figure. And so it's just, I don't know. I almost anyway, I'm gonna leave that for the back burner. Anyway, continuing on. So yes, Owen knows this. He goes in and he talks to his dad, and this time around when he talks to his dad, he's like, did you want to pick a fight with, like, he's seeing all the patterns in his dad's speech, and he's like, you're trying to pick a fight with me. You know, I already know about my mom. You know, you said it while you were drunk at some point, because, you know, his
And
dad won't
his dad
remember.
being a drunk, he's like, oh shit, I probably did say that. Oops.
Yeah. And so they rectify some things. It ends on a fairly decent note. And then, because he asks her, hey, before I get sent back, I want to say goodbye to these people, that my friends and family, because it's probably going to be the last time I'm going to be here. And she's like, yeah, sure. We've got time. Um, and so then he goes and he visits his teacher, friend, lady, professor, saw something, and finds out that
Sawbridge, I
she's
believe,
been
yeah.
basically forced into like a position where she has to be like, yes, the
I
country
totally
is
love the
great.
Empire Dominion. That's great. I love that shit.
Yeah, it's because her lover has been taken
Hmm.
hostage. And so he learns more about that, and so you learn more about the things going on with that little subplot line. And then he comes back around, and what happens here? I don't recall.
Yeah, he talks to her. He talks to. We should also. He has this academic rival who has apparently also been sent back in time. Like Vivian tried to use him as
Yeah.
a means to an end as well, but it didn't work. So like there's that sort of thing. But I don't remember who else he talks to. Eventually, he goes back. I don't remember if does he set something up here, like to does he make a plot or a plan?
Yes, but I just don't remember what it is. He goes
Chat.
back to he goes back, yeah, chat, please. He goes back to, I think, Una, and then they meet up, and she's just like kind of like morose, and she's like, we're never gonna get out of this. She's always, and then he like rallies forth, and he's like, no. And so they make a plan, and this time around, I don't think she kills the dragon. Does
Right.
she?
No, we don't know for sure. So we're back to our original time loop. Back at the
Yeah.
U tree. Instead of running this time, they follow the queen's plan. They go to kill the dragon.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'm absolutely coming with you this time, and she's like, you're absolutely not. Sorry, stay here. And he's like, fine. But she goes up. You hear some sound. She comes back with the Grail and the little dragon egg or heart or whatever. And
Does she have the heart?
I maybe not.
I
Maybe
don't
not.
think
Maybe
she
it's just
does.
the grail.
I think she let the dragon live, because then he's like, and then I saw the pale wings of something fly off into the
Yeah.
distance
He
afterwards.
thought he saw the dragon. Yeah, I don't think she kills the dragon this
No,
time.
she spares
And
it this time because she knows she
mhm,
doesn't have to kill it to get the grail. And
yes,
so, anyway, and then they're making their way back, and they have like this whole plot and everything. And she's like, this time I'm going to try not to kill Ansel. It's because he's like my brother in arms and stuff like that. And they're like, we're never going to get our children back, even though she promised we would. Like, I don't believe it, and that kind of thing. And then, they go in, that we can skip the minor details, but basically he goes in, he rushes with the archers, he gets almost shot, but they get it past that.
yeah. He
and
does his PPU, takes out the archers.
and then they go into the throne room, and this time it's like on fast forward, because the thing is, we haven't talked about the horse a lot, but there's a horse like Roach from The Witcher, which is very like it reminiscent of that, but Hen. And it's a very ordinary horse, and she rides Hen in because the last couple times that she remembers, or well, however many times she remembers that, Elaine or whatever kills the horse, or what's her face? Oh, no, I could just blinked on her name. Veronica, is it Veronica?
Vivian.
Vivian, thank
All
you.
V names are the same. I say this every day.
Oh God. Vivian, anyway, she's like, she's not going to kill my horse this time. And so, in fact, I would hazard to say the only reason they win this battle is because the horse is there. But uh, anyway, they go in. Ansel does the betrayal thing. They do the fight. She spares his life to some degree. He ends up getting throughout the scuffle. Owen tries to get the book from Vivian, and chaos ensues. But then Ansel gets the book and is like, oh, so this is how she's been doing it. I remember all these things. It's through this thing. Huh, interesting. And it's not so quick and easy as that. There's a lot of good build up to this moment. But anyway, he ends up throwing the book to Owen, and he's like, do what you will.
Good moment for Ansel. We haven't talked about him as a character that much, but he's a well sketched guy.
Yeah. Oh my god, wait a second. Donald said, by the way, one of my favorite Vivian moments is when she switched the sword in the tree and is like, got you good, fuckers. Yeah, I know, she did. There's like this whole thing where like they think that they have gone back far enough in the past. It's because the sword doesn't have a maker's mark, but lo and behold, Vivian thought about this and planted the sword. She
scrubbed the serial number off the side. She's like, this is an old sword.
So it's just like, it sounds ridiculous. It makes sense in the story because of the way the story's atmosphere builds, but it is pretty silly. Anyway, so, they do the jumperoo through time, and they end up making it super way back. And now that he knows it's the yew tree and everything, they're going to go back to the beginning of the yew tree, before the yew tree was even a yew tree, when it was just a seed. And they get there, and I forget how they find the seed.
Yeah, that was my question. How did they come upon the seed? Was it something that they had previously, or?
I just don't remember, but I don't think we go read the book.
Yeah.
But anyway, they do have the seed somehow. I just don't recall exactly how. Maybe it has something to do with the book itself. Maybe this part's blurring out for me. But they're gonna burn the seed and get rid of it or whatever. But this strange pagan-looking young lady girl comes out of the woods.
Creepy little blonde girl walks out.
And wasn't it in Una's hand when they spawned in? Yeah, it might have been. That would make sense with what we're about to be told. So
they try to burn it so the yew tree will never grow and this time travel book will never exist.
Yes, and creepy girl from Forest
creepy
is like...
blonde girl walks in.
Yeah, and she's like, I'm no one. And she's just like, oh, you think you can burn that? That's not going to burn.
Dragon hearts don't burn. And yeah. Like, sorry, what?
Oh, and then you get some lore that the hearts of dragons, because of their everlasting, look at that, their everlasting life or whatever, that their hearts are like this. And so you get the idea that there's like this really old king, and she, by the way, Vivian does allude to her teacher previously, and this is her teacher. It was a old king who basically had her as a wench, and she was a clever wench, and she always had a bit of love for him in some way, because he was it kind of comes off as like almost like a sorcerer type, or an alchemist type. Like he's like, I'm gonna discover the secret of life and stuff like that, and he had lots of books, and she learned and stuff like that. And then they learned about time and dragons, and the whole idea that the way they might be able to control longevity like the dragons or something like this is through their there's a recipe that he comes up with somehow, and it's that you take the heart of a dragon, you plant it into the heart of, what is it again, like
a person who never was, or something that
who was never born, or something like that.
Never, something like
that. And
so he's abusing her sexually, and she becomes pregnant, and he forces her to drink something that does a miscarriage, and so so they have this baby, this dead baby
embryo thing.
And they plant the yew seed in the heart of the dragon. And surprise, guy, Una, that's our girl.
Yeah, that's why she was never alive to begin with. She's always been a dead man walking, if you will. So anyway, and then You learn that she planted the tree and everything with the baby and everything and that's how she's Una's mother. And from that experience with that king slash, her teacher, and through the anger and the injustice of the baby that she loved and didn't want to it's interesting that she had a natural love for the baby and felt that angry, but I think it was more, and I think it was described this way fairly decently. You could also say that maybe she was angry because a choice was made for her in a way that she felt she had more agency than she did when she was younger.
It
um
also should be said, just this is a weird, creepy scene because this is like a child explaining
yeah,
this to you as a woman who has experienced all of these lives. So, like,
yeah,
this is a little girl explaining how she's been abused, how she had a child, how she, like, it's the vibes are creepy. Like,
I really liked that though. I thought that
hmm
was really interesting,
yeah,
because
I
it
liked it
made
too.
her older than her years, and it was I appreciated that Vivian slowly but surely became a thing that was immortal and was no longer a woman anymore. She was just an idea. And I really liked that. Or not to her. To her, she was always like ambition and everything, but that's like all she became in the end was ambition. Um, Wait, what does it say? Bananimus says, I was hoping Una had been Vivian's mother when they brought up her having
Oh
children
my
for weird
god.
Oh, that would have been
Oh,
crazy. I would
I
not have
would have
liked
lost
that.
my mind. That's too much.
Yeah. Um, and then also Donald says, I knew it would be the dragon hearts when they said Yvain wants to kill all the dragons. Well, I don't know, just hates them, I guess. Which is fair. But also Yvain was like weird too. And like she did certain things for like, it would make sense. It plays into the idea of like the Arthurian legend with like a slayer of dragons. So you, the reader, are just like, oh, of course this is going to happen. But it does make sense like to question like, why do you want to do this? Um, but yeah, anyway, so they learn all of this. And do you want to go over anything before we get to the part where he's like, the only way to end this is this way?
No, let's finish it and then we'll talk about our
Okay.
thoughts after. Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, Owen's like, well, the only way to free you is to take away the one thing that you keep dying for, which is me. So he ends up slitting his own throat against, which is a nice callback to the small blade that
Yeah, and the
Vivian keeps
scar
stabbing.
on his neck too that
Yeah,
has
exactly.
come and gone depending on the lifetime.
Yeah. And so anyway, so he dies. And, we get to her, Una's perspective, and she's like, I can't believe you've done this so many times. This has been awful.
And
Losing
like
you this
it's a
once.
beautiful moment because he's seen her die so many times
Yeah.
and she's like, I can't believe I made you go through this. This is awful. I'm seeing you die for the very first time and I'm the one that's left behind. I hate this. This sucks.
Yeah.
Like,
And then she has a talk with her mom, mommy daughter moment.
yeah. Mommy dadder moment.
And there's
Um
some really good dialogue here,
Here,
actually.
I can read some of it.
Please.
At a certain point they start referring to the child of Vivian as the shadow. So just for context, the shadow stamped its foot. Ungrateful, that's where you are. Don't you see what I've done for you? I named you, I trained you, I loved you. And oh, I was so patient with you. When you fell in battle, we began again. When you shattered your sword, I brought you a new one. When you were heartbroken, I brought you him. In the many monologues I'd heard Vivian Rolfe deliver, I didn't think she'd ever truly lost control. Every emotion she showed was a calculation, a mask presented for a purpose. But now her voice rose and fell erratically, pleading and scolding, childish and horribly ancient. I made you, the fetus, the dead thing which died before it could even be named, into a knight, a champion, a hero, a saint, a legend. I made you someone who could never, ever be forgotten. She stepped sideways a little, so the sun touched her face, and she was suddenly not a shadow, but a girl, crying freely, her accent veering back towards the archaic. Everything that was denied to me, I gave to thee. And it's just like, oops, sorry about that sound.
That was
It's just
so
such
good.
like, it's such like a creepy mom monologue. And like, this is the thing about Vivian. I think that she's such a good character, and I wanted the mommy issues to hit more for me, and I think they
Yep.
would
I
have
know.
if there was like she's just got so much going on and she has so many banger like mommy lines. I'm like, ow, that kind of hurts, and I think it would have stabbed me, like skewered me if she was a more pointed character, if that
I
makes
think
sense.
if we had taken time away from the romance, and I think if he really was just a historian, or even better yet, you cut Owen altogether and focus only on that, which would be a completely different story.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how you would finagle that at that point, because then you lose one of your narrators. But even if you did do him just as the historian, not the love interest, and just like the picture of her thing, and like the relationship between her and her mother in the end, that's probably where you would have gotten that out of. But I see the wish for the romance. It's because that's a little bit more, I don't know, like it's so, I feel
I
like if
feel
you only did the mother aspect, then you would have had to be more precise with what happened in the story. And I think there's a lot of
yeah.
forgivable stuff when you focus on the romance instead.
That's like this book is really beautiful, and in a lot of ways, she does a beautiful job with like tying the themes together as best as she can with this broad scope. But it feels like kind of like a spider web where the themes are a
Yeah.
little too far apart, and I'm
Yeah.
trying to like connect them in a shape that like is makes sense and makes something beautiful, and it's just not quite the shape that I think she was going for,
My
if that makes
professor
sense.
once, yeah, no, my professor once told me for one of the nonfiction pieces, the creative nonfiction pieces I submitted, ironically about my mom, when I sent that piece, in, he told me, your writing's really beautiful, but there's a lot of metaphors and there's a lot of themes that you have, but they don't connect in the right way. And so it's just a lot of really pretty images, but they don't connect. And I was just like, yeah, I can see that in this. It does connect in this book far better than like my experience, but like it still has that issue, I think.
And I get like all of the like the mommy issue stuff. Like here's another one that was a little bit earlier, but where Una is talking about her mother. Uh, you were quiet for a long time. No, I don't know. But then I was her favorite and had nothing to gain by it, and I loved her. Even now, the habit of love still catches me sometimes unawares, which I think it was just like a little line that I was like, ooh, ooh, ouch. That was someone with mommy issues. That one, ow.
I really like that. So anyway, you know, Owen dies. She has this final conversation where she almost lets Vivian go, and but Vivian was like, "No, I'll never stop. Of course not. It's not about you. It's about me," type of thing. Which, phew,
And Una just
um,
fucking kills her.
yeah, yep. And so anyway, she plants the seed. Is she Una comes to the realization. Hold on a second. I can just plant the seed, and because by the way, we kind of skipped over this, but the whole thing was, is she buried the child without planting the seed in its heart. Vivian did, and she's like, yeah, but you know what, Una, you're here right now. I'm just gonna plant the seed in your heart. Die, baby, die, and I'll just resurrect you, and we'll just do this all over again. And Una says no to that, and that's how that all happens. And then Una thinks, oh, wait a second, somebody born, not yet born, or something like that. And it works for Owen, considering he's a man at a time. And so she
Not
plants
yet
a seed in
born,
his
yeah.
heart. And then we get this really pretty description of time passing. She doesn't, Una's not sure if it's centuries or year, like however, but the yew tree grows, 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 grows until finally one day he is sleeping on the other side as she is. And she's become this like kind of nice myth, this kind of like swamp thing, green knight, like
She
protector
yeah,
of the
she is
forest.
described as the Green Knight, but like yeah, she goes down to the town every now and then, like to get supplies, and people start sort of like bringing her offerings as if she's some sort of woodland, like a goddess type creature, like a protector of sorts. And they make a little legend for themselves around this yew tree, the two of them together.
And then
And wouldn't you know it, they have the same kids again.
oh yeah, they do. No problem at all. It's because he has the same the son
It
has
has
the
the
same
same birthmark.
birthmark
You're like, oh,
on the
how nice
same
that
foot.
fate has given me the exact same children because these are the two that I loved, and we don't have to think about it.
Yeah,
Yay.
whatever. It's fine. The children part was dumb. I just thought they shouldn't have children at all. But so and then of course Owen is white hair. He also has the white hair now. He has the yellow eyes, so he is of the tree, and they're out of time. And then it says, at some point or another they'll die. But there's like this quirky little back and forth between him and his, or between the professor, his mentor lady, and everything. And it ends on a happy, quirky note.
Yeah, I much prefer the ending of the short story.
I gotta
It
read
was a
it.
much more like it has sort of a beautiful tragedy about it that I think this story sort of wanted. Um,
Yeah.
Uh,
That's another thing too, and that's also something I wanted to mention before about what was believable too about Owen on the first run of his time in the past, or what we experience as the first time in the past. When he really wants, like, he has that kind of battle within himself between saving her because he thinks she's interesting in a person and stuff like that versus the legend. And it's it I thought that was well played just because how beautifully it's written. And so whenever her legends come up, it is this kind of sickly sweet, oh, it's a sad ending, but it's worth it because it's poetic. And so that battle, I almost feel like the novel itself battles with itself for that because she
yeah,
can't seem to
yeah,
have a clean cut story, but at the same time, she wants that kind of legendary spiritual feeling from it.
yeah. I like the short story much better than this. I think it's cleaner. I think it has like there's a lot has changed, and in a lot of ways, I like the character work. And like this, I'm glad she expanded it into a novel and changed
Yeah,
certain things. But I'm really curious what you think about the short story. You should read it.
I'll read it then.
Um,
Yeah.
I think I think you'll find it much more sort of clean and beautiful in what you're looking for with the sort of tragic sort
Yeah.
of a beauty of the story because there's something really really compelling here that both of us obviously really liked like
I think
despite all our
it's
complaints like
beyond the prose being absolutely exceptional
gorgeous
in a
yeah
lot of places, and unique in ways that it feels refreshing for the most part. It's also there's a good cadence to the narration between image to between character between dialogue, and so it feels like somebody telling you a story and it feels nice. And yes, Vivian was stopped technically in the end. It's because
she
she
was
was,
helped yes
yeah, because she was killed before she could plant the seed in Una, so she never got to do the whole like rebirth thing. One might argue that had she not foreseen that, did she not go before that
we
moment? But
simply
it's fine.
cannot think too much about the time travel stuff because it makes you insane and some of the world building stuff you're just like
Yeah,
the minute you start thinking about it it's going to fall apart you have to be a little hand wavy with the fairy tale
you do.
aspects
Yeah,
um and again like sometimes like with the children stuff I wasn't able to be hand wavy with that it annoyed me the whole like fate and destiny about children stuff did not work for me at all I hated that part but for some people it might work and for like it's fine it's fine
I can see why it
like
would be very satisfying and gratifying for a lot of readers, and why it would only add to the book and their favorite, their enjoyment of it. So that's fair. I agree with Val mostly because it feels like a pretend bubble in a way that doesn't.
like I think if she hadn't mentioned the like prior abortions and stuff, it wouldn't have bothered me. I would have been able to hand wave it. But
Yeah, if
because
if
she
she just
mentioned
gotten
those
pregnant or whatever,
specifically,
yeah,
I'm just like, okay, so these aren't hypothetically the first two children you could have had. Why are these
yeah.
the
There's
two
like
that
a
keep coming
weird,
back? Like there's
yeah.
like that part is what like took me out. And again, like I'm fine. Like if people should have abortions if they want to have abortions. It's just like the fairy tale of it. It took me out of the fairy tale and reminded me that I was reading a book in a way that didn't
That was
quite work.
grounded in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Uh huh.
because it's too, again, to use the word banal, it's too ordinary. It's too, oh, you just want children. Which again, there's nothing wrong with that.
Again,
But
like I'm fine that they had children.
yeah,
Like it's fine. It's fine. But
it makes them, it brings down the fairy tale a little bit into the realm of the mundane. Um
hmm
in a very odd way because it just feels like super contrived. Like you know that she inserted it for your pleasure. So that way you could feel the loss of it deeper. Which you could say that about, I guess, any scene that builds any type of sympathy, but I don't know. Nah.
no. Overall, I think this was a really beautifully written book. I again like it. The parts that annoy me annoy. I've been loud about just because it was so close to something that I really like. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is so delicious, tasty, tasty food.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely recommend this book. It made me cry in the end. The beauty of the prose at the very end with the way it's like, and life is on and such. It actually does work really well. It was a joy for the. I also think that the world that the author created here is it is weird. It's unique. It's not the same. It's not really our world, but it's not anything I know of. And I liked how it was insular in that way because then it did feel contained like a fairy tale.
mhm.
And I would buy this book for a student if it didn't have the weird sex scenes. Or not weird, but like I definitely would not
Just
hand
like
this to a 13-year-old
yeah.
year old and be like, read this book.
It's a bummer because without those, it would have been like a really
Yeah.
good book.
A tale as
Yeah.
old as time almost. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because anybody can read it and access it and
Yeah.
commune with it.
Yeah. Again, the sex scenes are fine. They're fine. But
Yeah. All right. Do you
I
have
think
any
we did a
last
pretty good job.
notes?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I said what I wanted to say. Thanks guys. Again, join our Patreon. I had a lot of fun talking to the book club members after I finished this. It was fun to work through my thoughts. Lovely as always, Katie.
Yes, as well with you. Guys, join us again next time on White Lady Hour. But in the
Yeah,
meantime,
White
you'll
Woman
have to,
Hour.
yeah. Oh, yeah, white woman. Excuse me, the alliteration. I forgot about it. And apparently, I like. What are you, the beauty, and am I the beast? Because I look like a wolf. Jesus Christ, Will's just like
You don't look
he's
like
planted a seed. Except for
oh my
instead of
gosh.
my heart, it's in my brain. Anyway, thanks, y'all. Have a great day, and don't forget. Uh Fascist regime sucks.
Yeah.
They all suck.
Boo.
Boo.
All right. Bye
All right.
guys.
Bye. And then we have this awkward moment where